and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the
Line to right center field. That's going to split the gap, and the Royals are on the board. And there's Salvi on his way to second base with another double. Up the middle and into center field. And that is a 20-game hitting streak for Bobby Witt Jr.
Woo, that was nice.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson. We head up until 2 o'clock. The next 4 hours, we've got you. We'll talk some baseball today. Royals back to 500, sitting 15-15 through 30 games and 3 games out behind the Tigers. It lost last night to the Astros. Yeah.
Trashtros.
Can't beat the Astros. You suck.
Putting the ass in Astros.
That's what they did. That's what they did.
2 scoops of Astros.
That's okay. Very good. Way to start the show. We'll talk with Matt Verderam coming up at 12:30. Sports Illustrated. We'll get his thoughts on the Chiefs, the draft, some other NFL nuggets. Mick Schaefer will join us on the 1 o'clock hour. KSHB 41 sports director. We'll talk with him tonight. We got the NBA playoffs pregame starting around 8:30, and then the Timberwolves and Lakers tonight as the Wolves have a 3-1 lead. And we'll see if the Wolves finish off the Lakers tonight, whose dad will walk on the floor to talk smack to LeBron. I don't know who's Anthony Edwards. I don't know. Julius Randle's dad?
DiVincenzo.
DiVincenzo's dad. There it is, DiVincenzo's dad. And that's when you're like, you know what? I'm good. I'm just gonna DiVincenzo's dad. I'm not gonna make an assumption, but I'm also not gonna not make an assumption. So you know what? You got me. I was cool towel of your son though. You know, wait, really cool towel of your son, Dante DiVincenzo. Why is he still wearing a Villanova jersey? That's odd. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us. 913-912-4810 to be a part of the show, part of the conversation today. 913-912-4810. We'll play a little Rotten Tomatoes later on in the show as well. Let's start off with the Kansas City Royals, and they get the win against the Rays last night and take care of business in Game 1. And we talked about, can they take 2 of 3 from the Rays, 2 of 3 from the Orioles, and then you know, you don't ever want to look at it and go, you should sweep this team, but that's what we said about the Rockies. Like, you got to take at least 2 of 3 from the Rockies, but can you sweep them? That'd be great. And, boy, it was close to disaster until the Royals came back after the Rockies came back in that Game 1. But if you take 2 of 3 and you take 2 of 3 from the Orioles, even if you take 3 of 4, you go 3-1 against the White Sox, you're looking at a 7-3 stretch over these 10 games against teams that are now the Rays under 500, the Orioles sitting, 12-17, and the White Sox sitting at 7 and infinity right now. So you've got opportunities to win a number of games, just as we said last week at this time when, I guess today being Wednesday, they survived the night before. That was last Tuesday night when they had that comeback in the 9th after giving up the 3 runs in the 9th. But hey, last night he went and got the job done, which is good. Zerpa looked good, fantastic, you know. And this is where we go back to talking about, you know, Matt Quatrero, and when we talk about a bullpen, when our frustrations were there about whether you go to Urseg in a spot to be the fireman, we all agreed that we started with pitcher, do your job. But also, you know, at that point, boy, I'd like to see Urseg in the game. But it is still Zerpa / at one point this year, Sam Long's job to go in and get outs. And they didn't get the job done in those situations. Do your job. Last night, he calls on Zerpa, and Zerpa went and did his job.
Yeah.
Did what he needed to do. And it makes the manager look smart when the guy goes and does his job. Now, we can talk about the different moves that he's made throughout the season, and we also can discuss, and we have discussed, how every single move, there's a reason behind it. It's not just randomly throwing a dart that the guy doesn't know baseball and is just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and let's go and get that guy out of there because I've got no reason whatsoever except I just got a hunch. He just looks like he just looks like he's pitcherish today.
It's
like,
a 1990s cop show.
Yeah.
I have a hunch, though, Rook.
Hunch. I think we're going to, you know what? Let's go to this bank tomorrow. I got a feeling tomorrow and this bank is the one that they're going to hit. All right? Told you, Chiefsaholic right there. Nailed it. I just had a hunch the whole time. Dragnet. So the job of the pitcher is to come in and get outs. And Zerpa looked good. He looked really good. He was hitting his spots. The stuff looked good. And as soon as he got up there in the first couple of pitches, I'm like, okay, I feel good about this outing. Like, he wasn't wild. He wasn't. He was hitting the corners. I'm like, all right, this is the Zerpa at the end of the season that we saw that looked pretty good. So guys have to come in and do their job when you go to him. Zerpa did his job. Urseg ultimately did his job, got out of the jam, and we know Estevez came in and got the job done and did his job. The Royals offense scratched across enough runs. Michael Lorenzen looked great. This winning stretch, winning baseball, not necessarily a winning streak, but the stretch of baseball where they are 6-1 now, it has not been because of an offensive onslaught outside of Thursday when they scored more than 4 runs in both games, and they had scored more than 4 runs 2 times all season until that one. And so they didn't start mashing the baseball and winning 8-5, 9-7 or anything. They're winning the games in the way that they were winning earlier. And then when they had that stretch of losing, it was not even able to score a run or 2 at times. And you were losing 2-0 or 3-1. You're like, can we just get 3 runs here? The pitching staff has been brilliant in the last, all season, really. Yeah. The starting staff has been brilliant, really, all season. We've seen the best outing from Seth Lugo this year. We saw the best outing from Michael Wacha this year. Lorenzen looked good last night. Bubic struggled, and struggled is the walk right before the home run is what hurts. It's like, man, he made that mistake and left that, as you've talked about, Sterling. He made that mistake and left that pitch out over the plate. Salvi sitting up outside. I think it was Salvi. Maybe it was Fermin on Sunday. But whoever. Sitting up outside, and it's like, well, there's one spot you can't leave. You can't miss your spot against this guy. And that was just middle. And he did not miss. Like, oh, man, that's the one mistake. Well, walking the guy right before him is also a mistake, because those things, that's not ideal. So Bubic, but he's looked good overall. And the bullpen, when it's set up like this, when Schreiber's pitching the way that he is in mid-90s at times with his fastball, and you're like, okay, well, if he's going to do that. Zerpa looked good, and we know about Urseg and Estevez, and hopefully in a couple of weeks Harvey will be able to return, as maybe there's a rehab assignment on the horizon for him. And as I said, when he went down, we talked about Verlander, and we talked about Scherzer, and I said mid-May. Mid-May is really what I'm looking at for Harvey, because that was the time frame for Scherzer and Verlander when they both had the same injury that Hunter Harvey suffered. So mid-May is what I was looking at as well. And what does the bullpen look like? Can they get somebody to pitch the 6th or the 7th to get to Urseg and Estevez without Harvey? And they've done a pretty good job of doing that, but also guys have to come in and do their job. They win the game, they take care of the Rays, and it is an interesting position to be in right now because they're 500 after a tough stretch of baseball when we talked about the beginning of the season was going to be difficult with the winning teams they're playing. So they're 500. They're 3 games out. The pitching staff has been awesome, yet they have had a historically bad offense so far this year. They are averaging barely over 3 runs per game. They're now sitting at 3.13 runs per game this year. Somehow they are 500. And I don't know the way to fully contextualize the position they're in right now with winning in spite of their offense, yet the strength of their team is the reason they're winning. So, like, you want the offense to be better, but we also agreed the offense wasn't going to be amazing. They weren't going to be a top 10 offense, even though it's like you add Jonathan India, and now Bobby Witt's going to get more guys on base in front of him. And he has. To this point, he is pacing for 14. He's pacing for 14 fewer at-bats with the bases empty this year than last year. So, in over 160 games, 162 games.
So marginally better.
Yes, he had 402 at-bats last year with the bases empty, and he's pacing for 388 at-bats this year with the bases empty. So it ain't exactly like they're all over the as they used to say, as Hawk, the sacks are packed with socks when his base is loaded. It ain't exactly like he's got bases loaded everywhere and ducks on the pond. It's a little better, but not much. But how to sort of put it into perspective of what we're watching, that we're sitting back and saying, well, if the offense gets better, and I don't want to look at it from a negative standpoint, but the fear would be if the pitching staff doesn't keep up, then what happens? What's more likely to take place? I would say more likely to take place, and you guys can weigh in and get your thoughts, and I'm not trying to view it from the pie in the sky or silver lining or ultimate, positive takeaway. But what I believe would be the more likely thing to happen is that the offense improves and India starts playing like the back of his baseball card, and Salvi, who is now turning into hot streak Salvi, he's had the expected slugging percentage all season long, and now those hard hits are falling in for doubles. He's a doubles machine since last Thursday. What, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7? Does he have 7 doubles since the beginning of Thursday? 6 or 7 doubles?
Insane.
So he has been an absolute doubles machine. And so extra base hit machine is for Salvi. So you're starting to see that a little bit more. I think the most likely thing, there's certainly the fear of the possibility of the inverse, but the most likely thing is that the guys start playing to the back of their baseball card and the offense improves, that Vinny's not going to be a 190 hitter and swinging at pitches outside of the zone and taking pitches for strikes. Seems like the exact opposite of what you should be doing, but that's what's going on right now. Chase rate is up. Take percentage of called strikes is up. It's a weird combination there. No wonder he's batting the way that he is. So what do you guys think is the most likely, or putting into perspective what they are right now at 15-15, when there's the positive of how they're playing and winning games and getting back to 500? Because that game against Detroit, that final game against Detroit on the road trip, you're talking about being 4.5 games out or 6 games out, or 6.5, I mean. And right now, they're 3 games out. It's early, 30 games in, but there is certainly a lot of positives to take away, and mainly that's because of the pitching staff. But is this one of those things to where the offense will get going and everything will look like, all right, it's fine? Or is this if J.J. Piccolo doesn't make a move, then this is going to be the offense the rest of the year, and they're just going to have to try to pitch their way to a 500 record?
I think it's more of the latter. I do think it's a little bit of either a move needs to be made. Hopefully a guy gets called up and starts raking. But it feels very Seattle last year, where it was just, okay, the pitching staff is doing so much. You got to score something here. And you have Bobby. You have Salvi starting to get hot, so the offense should at least get a little better because Salvi's getting hot. So now you at least have another guy in the lineup who you fear. But Massey, Vinny, those underlying numbers are brutal. I mean, brutal. India is actually should be slightly better, but not much. I mean, I'm not complaining about the 330 on base necessarily, but the slugging at 268 is not, it's not what we signed up for. You didn't sign up for 216, slugging 268 on base. Yes, we understand that, but that's a lot of guys on first. It's not like Bobby Witt's coming up and there's a guy on second or third. It's, okay, a guy on first base.
Yeah. Because runners in scoring position, running scoring position, he's actually, what's interesting, he's actually pacing for 70 more at-bats this year with runners in scoring position than last year.
What it goes to show you also how bad last year was.
Agreed.
But
totally
also,
agree. Totally
I think
agree.
part of that is the bottom of the order has done decent at times.
Yeah, it's not necessarily India that's been on base.
It's been early in the year.
Yeah.
Michael Garcia early in the year was down there. Now it's Drew Waters. Freddie Fermin has started to
That's a good point.
turn up a little bit now. But yeah, I believe Michael Garcia. Drew Waters, my thoughts on him. I've always been a big believer. I don't know if he's going to be doing this OPS in 800, but I think he can get around that 720 OPS, that league average bat, which I think is realistic to think for him. I don't see a lot of the lineup all of a sudden getting drastically better. Well, I do have a slight fear. I think the pitching staff is going to be pretty close to this all season long. But do we think that Chris Bubic is going to have a 2.25 ERA?
Yes.
Probably more of a 3.25 if we price settle a court for 3.25. Seth Lugo at 3.08 I think is kind of in line, maybe a little low, but nothing drastic. Lorenzen 3.48 feels a little low, but he goes 6 innings, 1 run, 5 2/3, 2 runs. That kind of feels Michael Lorenzen-ish. So I don't think that's too far off. Michael Wacha 3.38, which is like what he was last year. Yeah. I believe in Wacha.
And he was even better the second half. Like he really worked in the second half to get it down to a 3.38. So
and then,
he's really been on this run since the second half of last year looking like this.
And then Cole Reagan's 4.4. Actually, I think he's the guy that gets better.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think overall the pitching staff is fairly close to what it's going to be overall. A little bit of, changing here and there. I think Reagan's gets better. Maybe Bubic or, maybe Lorenzen or someone takes a slight step back. I just think this is what this team is going to be unless they bring in a guy, they call up a guy, because offensively – again, I know people are probably tired of hearing the underlying numbers, but it's starting to say this is who a lot of these guys are.
Yeah, we say, Jack, you wait till May. It's not even May yet.
Yeah.
It is tomorrow. So.
It's snuck up on us, but also if you would have gone back a few Saturdays ago when they were 8-14, and you would have said, well, they'll be 500 going in the last day of April, you'd feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
However, those offensive struggles that you've dealt with are still happening here. And if the rotation, and really the pitching staff as a whole, wasn't the second best in terms of ERA in baseball of last year, maybe second in the American League, then maybe you should be more fearful. If they were like 15th last year and they're pitching this well to start the year, you go, okay, there's going to be some regression to the middle of the league. There is a chance that this pitching staff is top 5 again in baseball. Now, the bigger question becomes, are they the 29th ranked offense in baseball? Right? Are they going to OPS where the White Sox are OPSing? Maybe they do, right? Baseball can be unpredictable like that. But to me, the issue of the offense is no longer, well, let's put blame on Hunter Renfroe. I'm not saying that because of the 6-game streak he's been on here. He doesn't play every single day. Like, he's playing once a series. You can't put it on Kyle Isbell because Kyle Isbell's doing what he's done the last 2 years. He's hitting .225 in the 9-hole. He's OPSing at .554. To me, you go back to the top of the order. Now, Jonathan India has been on base multiple times in 4 of his last 5 games. I want to say David Lesky brought this up, but he's moved back in the box where he was kind of lining up in Cincinnati last year, where at the beginning of the year, he was toward the front of the box. Therefore, the timing might have been off. He was ambushing a lot of first pitches, which is not his game. You go to the 3-hole here. I love Vinny where he hits. I love the production he gave last year. You can't get 174 from your 3-hole hitter. You just can't. We've seen him hit in the 7-hole against lefties this year, but I almost wonder if to take some pressure off of him, you make a change there. I mean, last night you get 0 for 8 with 2 strikeouts from Massey and Pasquantino. Vinny's hitting 174, Massey's hitting 188. I don't believe those 2 hitters are going to hit like that all year, but we're 30 games in now, and I want to say the mark is always 40. Like, if a guy's hitting 180 40 games in, you can say he's not a 180 hitter, but he sure as hell ain't going to be a 300 hitter or a 295 hitter. And that's where you could look at this year for Vinny Pasquantino and go, no, I don't believe he's that bad. I also don't believe he's going to be better than he was last year, and that would be the concern if he's hitting in the 3-hole all season long. But I feel that if we get to the end of May and you have some of these numbers looking somewhat the same, a move is going to happen. They're going to have to add somebody to this lineup so that you can give the rotation and the bullpen some relief in games like last night.
One of the things, go ahead.
I was going to say just real quick and kind of until all this point to at least put a bow on my thought here of why I think they need to either, again, hopefully someone gets called up or they trade for someone. Again, sorry to go with the underlying numbers, but I want to at least try and show a track record of maybe we shouldn't get too excited about it. We shouldn't just assume they're going to turn around. I think assuming that is a little foolhardy, and here's why. Michael Massey's expected numbers are his overall batting run value this year is first percentile. He's been the worst or one of the worst in baseball. His expected batting average 24th percentile, expected slugging's 10th percentile, hundreds best, 10th really bad. Kyle Isabel has actually exceeded expectations with the bat. His expected batting average is 178. His expected slugging is 256, which is first percentile in all of baseball. Vinny Pasquantino, his expected batting average is 209, 10th percentile in all of baseball. His overall numbers, he puts him in the second percentile of all of baseball. And then obviously Hunter Renfroe, I don't need to go through there. But the point remains, it's not like you're seeing guys like Salvi. It was easy to see, okay, look, you can see underline, he's hitting the ball hard. We have an understanding this is going to get turned around. Vinny, we assume because of the track record, which I'm okay saying he's not going to do this, but guys like Michael Massey, Kyle Isabel, Hunter Renfroe, Kevin Biggio, like there's just such a long, nothing screams they're going to turn it around outside of hope.
The Bobby Witt has been great this year. We know that. And the 20-game hitting streak, yes, got there. All right, nailed it. This time last week when he had that squibber to the right side. And I'm like, well, you get something like that, he's going to get to at least 20.
Telling you, 43.
Yeah, nailed
it's going to be 43.
Let's get to 32, man. And we can stop the argument of Brett and Whit Merrifield. You know, it's one season. No, it's total. It's one season. It's total. Fair, it's foul. It's fair, it's foul. Less filling tastes great, you know. It's both.
And twins.
That too as well. But also, Bobby Witt, we know, is a slow starter, which is interesting about the hitting streak, is that he's typically a slower starter. Yeah. July and August is when Bobby Witt turns into MVP Bobby Witt. And if we look at in his career, Bobby Witt, since his rookie years, let's just go 23 and 24, because rookie years, you know, he wore down as the season went along. Guys got the book on him. He struggled in August and September, and his OPS slowly trickled back to like 600 in September his rookie year. So let's go 23-24. He's played 102 games in July and August, and he has 32 home runs in those games. The rest of the months in 23 and 24, he played 216 games, and he has 30 home runs. Like, he is unbelievable. Another 35 extra base hits in July and August. So 67 extra base hits in 102 games in July and August. So he's unbelievable. And so far this year, believe me, this is not a Bobby Witt is the problem. This is a where do things pick up? Where do things get better? Bobby Witt last year with runners in scoring position, OPS at 1.183. This year is 573.
Yeah.
He ain't going to OPS at 573 with runners in scoring position. He's going to start driving runs in. So there's a little bit of that. And maybe he's also pressing to the offense isn't scoring. There's a guy on base. I got to get this guy in.
Yes.
And now instead of taking the approach where when bases are empty, he's OPSing like, 900. When nobody's on base this year, it's like, here's a 900 OPS. When runners are on base, he's OPSing 701 this year. And runners in scoring position, he's OPSing 573. So there might be Bobby pressing and putting more pressure on himself. And it might be Vinny Pasquantino saying, I'm an RBI guy, so I've got to be the one that drives in the runs. And so, maybe I swing at some pitches that might be outside of the strike zone that I wouldn't typically do. I think there are areas where there's optimism that the offense will improve. Michael Massey, the underlying numbers this year, certainly bad. But the underlying numbers last year over the course of a full season weren't that this guy's going to OPS at 500.
Correct. So
are the underlying numbers of a full year or the underlying numbers of 30 games, what we go off of?
Last year, his underlying numbers were 723, and he OPS at 743. So
Beautiful.
very, very much in line last year.
Beautiful. And Vinny's the one that's worrisome is because of the bat speed and so what the impact is with that. But Salvi's getting hot. Bobby's still in the hit streak. There is a concern of when you play Salvi at DH because of Fermin last night almost left the game, and then you would have you'd have had to figure out first base and then put Salvi at catcher.
Michael Lorenzen, get the
yeah. But I mean, that's I went back and looked because I wanted Salvi to play DH more as opposed to playing first base, and I know the risk that if your catcher leaves, and I went back and looked, and it's happened like Salvia has left a game early, I think 3 times since July of 2023, where it's been like a foul ball or, got hit by a pitch, something like that, or there was like a running out a ground ball and he gingerly walked off and he missed one game and came back because it's Salvi. He doesn't miss many games. Those are the times that he's been taken out of a game, and therefore if a catcher left a game, you'd have to put your DH into catcher. You're talking about how many games they've played, and 3 times. The risk of that happening versus Vinny getting to play first base. And Salvi was fine last night, by the way. Salvi made some good plays.
Yeah.
Especially that tag on the throw from Fermin on the strikeout. That was pretty good, too. So I do think there are areas of optimism for this team moving forward offensively, certainly later on in the season. I do think you get to a point, if you're JJ in the front office, of you can't just go off of optimism and hope that it's going to get better and go off of, well, hey, we're winning right now while the offense is struggling, because the last thing you want to do is start to be out of the race, slide back further and further, and then go, okay, well, now we have to make the move. Well, if you feel like the move needs to be made, then you need to make it while there's still time and while you're right there in it, which they are. They're a game and a half out of the wild card, 30 games in. They're 3 games behind the Tigers, so they got plenty of more games against the Tigers too. So, and Bobby, it's not July yet. It's not July and August. Bobby, one of the greatest hitters that ever lived in July and August. When it gets hot, so does Bobby around here. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk Noah Cameron. He will be making his Major League debut tonight for the Royals. And we'll talk a little bit about Noah Cameron with Cole Reagan's missing 1, maybe 2 starts. We'll see how long he's going to be out. And we'll talk some Chiefs. I wanted to weigh in on, we've talked about the draft picks and the value that's been there. But a guy like Noel Williams, as Mike Anderson would say, a Leo Lyons, a DeMare Carroll, a guy like a Noel Williams. When you move up 10 spots and you trade Joe Thuney, that Joe Thuney's value is 10 spots in the 3rd round, that's also a position where we go, you got to be right on this guy. You got to be right on this guy. Josh Simmons, you need to be right. You're trading up. You need to be right on that guy. When you trade Joe Thuney, you traded away Joe Thuney, and he got you a 4th-round pick next year, and you traded that to move up 10 spots to get Noel Williams. You got to be right. And so I looked at other cornerbacks around him to see if that's something we track like we did McDuffie and Kyer Elam. If the juice was worth the squeeze to trade your 3rd rounder and Joe Thuney to move up 10 spots to go and get Noel Williams. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Jack Johnson. We're hanging out here on this Wednesday edition of the show. Matt Verderame comes up a couple of hours from now. Number of other things to get into and talk about with the Royals, the Chiefs, some NBA action as well that we will talk about. But Noah Cameron making his Major League Baseball debut tonight for the Royals. Cole Reagans with the groin tenderness will miss at least one start, maybe two. So they've pushed the start back to either Baltimore this weekend or when they return home next week against the White Sox. We'll see what happens with that. But Noah Cameron's a guy that we thought about in spring training, whether or not he would make the team because he was pitching so well in spring training, 7th-round pick a number of years ago out of Central Arkansas, but, of course, out of St. Joe. You know, St. Joe Central. Where are you at? Who dat? In the house, St. Joe. From the belt to the bay. Noah Cameron making his debut in Tampa Bay. The belt to the bay. Noah Cameron in Steinbrenner Field. What every kid dreams about, right? Making your Major League debut in a place where the Yankees play. Steinbrenner Field. This guy's going to be in the biggest of stage, and luckily there's no third deck. So you don't have to worry about the third deck. That always, can change things for a kid getting out there and pitching. But I do wonder how it feels from his standpoint. Like, look, man, you're pitching in a Major League game. I don't care what stadium it's at, man. That stadium could be in Germany. Doesn't matter. I'm pitching in a Major League game for a Major League team. But it is interesting that it's also in a spring training facility with 10,000 seats there, that it doesn't have the same feel of what would be a Major League Baseball stadium.
It'll be like the little things around that will change. Like every baseball is pearly white, brand new. Like everything will be very pristine. It won't be.
Everybody's carrying your bags for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, he's a rookie, so he's carrying everyone else's
That's
bags.
true. That's a great point.
Not on the day you're pitching. Not on the day you're pitching.
Very true.
You're not carrying extra weight that day.
I will say though that this
but tomorrow he'll be carrying everybody else's bag.
The Dora the Explorer backpack.
But shouldn't this feel almost more comforting?
That's what I wonder too.
Because and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it doesn't matter. Dylan, you probably have the best. I think you would probably have the best advice on this. But don't you think this would probably be a little more comforting?
Yeah.
For a guy not pitching in front of 35,000 folk.
Yeah. Definitely going to feel a lot more comforting. Also going to not really take him to, like I said, it's not like as much of a debut as it would feel in Yankee Stadium or even Royal Stadium with the fans around you or the old Tropicana, like something you've seen on TV 1,000 times before. You really don't. I mean, if you watch spring training Yankees baseball, you'll see it a lot.
It's the first time Royals players are playing in the stadium.
Exactly.
So, it's he's only the second starter for the Royals to pitch in the stadium. So, it's Lorenzen and now Noah Cameron. So I'm excited to see him pitch. I know it's a spot start or two for Cole Reagans, but I'm excited to see what the kid can do, especially the local flavor there down in Tampa. And we'll see what he looks like, the lefty.
3.22 ERA in AAA this year. Good strikeout numbers, 27 strikeouts in 22 and a third innings. The whip is great, hovering around one run. I get his AAA. I understand that. But still.
I wonder what his leash will be because he hasn't pitched many innings down in AAA. His last couple of starts have been 4 innings and then 2 innings. So I do wonder how long we should expect him to go or think he can go tonight out there on the mound.
I believe you have to go back to last night. The reason they used Serpa in the 7th is because they wanted to have Daniel Lynch to pitch today if Noah Cameron's only going to go 3 or 4 innings. And what I would expect out of him is probably a max of 6 unless he's at 55, 60 pitches. But I would probably look to more of 4 1/3, maybe 5 innings to qualify for a win. I don't see them pushing it with him. I feel if you got really good 4 innings out of him and, you got a 5-run lead. Maybe you do turn it over to Daniel Lynch to work 2 or 3. You got a couple other guys you can bridge the gap with. Steven Cruz. You used Ursic and Estevez last night. Not that they would be unavailable tonight, but, man, if you could get any form of run support in a game like this, there shouldn't be as much pressure on tonight as there would have been if they would have lost yesterday, because you lose yesterday, now you're relying on Noah Cameron to at least give you a chance to win the series on Thursday. But I put this in the court of the offense. If the offense can give somebody run support, tonight would be the time to do so, because you can't expect the world from a guy making his major league debut in a high A/spring training ball.
It's just not great that Rasmussen's on the mound with the sub-3 ERA tonight for the Rays. Heavy favorites, the Rays tonight.
I'm expecting Edwin Jackson when he threw the no-hitter, 148 pitches, just go out there, just really.
Mm-hmm. Who is the kid?
Wasn't that Edwin Jackson when he like 148 pitches?
Who is the kid the Royals threw to the sacrificial lamb in New
Vin
York?
Mazzaro.
Was it?
No,
it was he was a Latin player.
Yeah, he didn't make it out of like the second inning.
Yeah, they threw it because they had nobody else to pitch. They brought the guy up from Double-A. Sweeney was so pissed, as he should be. You know, you're a Major League Baseball team, and they brought a guy in from Double-A to pitch one game just because they felt like they didn't have anybody else, and that guy was so out of his element and just got rocked. And it was just you're forfeiting the game is what the Royals did, which is what pissed off Sweeney. It's like, what are we doing here, man? Like, we're supposed to be a Major League team. I can't remember his name.
I'm looking it up. Royals pitcher who got shelled against Yankees.
Only,
probably going to be a lot.
Dominguez sound familiar? Yasan Dominguez?
Yeah. I mean, it's Latin, so that might be the case. It's the only time he pitched in Major League Baseball.
Royals lost 4-3 in a game where Double-A prospect Yasan Dominguez, outfielder.
But only 4-3.
An outfielder started.
Oh, an outfielder started?
What year was that? Because it had to be Sweeney on the team.
Didn't Vin Mazzaro also get
I don't know about
lit
that.
up?
That was at home against Cleveland when he was just pitching mop up after that. And
yeah.
oh man, this is gonna.
I know,
stick
right?
with
It's
me.
gonna bother me.
I'll find it.
It wasn't Miguel Asensio, right?
Yes,
Is
that
who
was it,
Miguel Asensio? That's the name that kept popping in my mind, but I'm like,
Let me double
was
check.
it
but I'm
Miguel
pretty sure that's
Asensio? Was it not Miguel Asensio?
How do you spell his last name?
Ascencio, I guess.
Debut 2002.
That would have been Sween Dog.
No,
Nope,
actually, it was
okay.
not him.
Was he
All
the
right.
one that had the 4 straight walks? Like, there have been a couple
be
of
it.
pitchers that have come up with the Royals, and they've all started to blend together. A couple of pitchers come up for the Royals, and it's like the one in New York, and then the guy throws 4 straight walks. So, yeah. So I don't know. Another text says Miguel. I'm pulling up the text line just because I'm like, okay, do they
Asensio?
says Miguel Asensio? But again, I don't.
Says his debut was in relief against the White Sox. This is so. It's a name that is very.
See, I think
memorable once you
Asensio,
hit-
the debut against the guy who walked 4 straight batters, I
That
think
might
was
be him.
Asensio because that came in a relief appearance. So, like we're talking about, that ain't going to be the case with Noah Cameron because this guy he's a legit pitcher. Okay, so I don't know why that.
No, I'm
popped
going to
in my
keep
head.
talking about this. We're going to find it. This is all I
Yeah.
care about now. This is all I care about.
Yeah. Oh, Eduardo Villacis.
That's it.
Eduardo Villacis.
That
Yes.
should be a lot easier to find.
Thank
too.
you, Scott. Lebo. Eduardo Villacis. There it was. Got it. Well, now we can move on, everybody.
Now we got to find what the final line
Our
is.
long national nightmare is over. We have figured it out. We've come to the conclusion. It takes a village to help us out around here in the zone. It takes an entire village to get to Eduardo Villacis, and it would have taken an entire village to have him get off the mound without giving up 8 runs or whatever it was.
Baseball reference. 0-1.
What was his?
ERA 13.5.
It's not as bad as you would have
Really?
thought it was going to be. Like, that's a name that sticks in Royals. Well, not ours, clearly,
Yes.
from looking him up. But for a lot of people, he still went 3 1/3, and he only gave up 5 runs, but walked 4, didn't strike out anybody, gave up a home run. And that's to the 2004 Yankees team. Like, I remember Aaron Brooks made a start in Toronto, and he didn't get an out till like the 7th or the 8th batter.
Remember when Edison Volquez, I forgot this, gave up 12 runs in an inning?
Astros, yeah, he gave
Yeah,
up like
against Astros, yeah.
7 or 8 in the first.
It
This
was
is fun.
12
This
total.
is fun
Yeah.
memory lane. I like this.
That was
memory
the
lane.
year the
Exactly.
Royals won the World Series, too.
James MacArthur's major league debut, he gave up 7 in relief to Cleveland back in 2023.
I told you he's never going to be a closer in major. He'll never be a guy who could close out
Okay,
games.
who was the guy that gave? Yes, okay, I was totally right.
Vin Mazzara?
Vin Mazzara, 14
Yeah,
runs.
He came out. He had to eat innings because it wasn't Jonathan Sanchez. I might have been Jonathan Sanchez that started the game and
God.
didn't get
That
out
tracks.
of it. And then Vin Mazzaro just had. You know what? I give respect.
Oh, here we go.
and not for the final line there, but he had to stay out there and just eat all of it.
I'm back on ESPN in 2011. Vin Mazzaro's historically bad night.
I think Cleveland got 19.
19-1, close game.
That was it.
Only, what is that, 5 Grand Slams away. That's all you were.
God, I remember VSC's line being so much worse than 3 1/3 and 5 earned runs. Like I remember it being like
Crucified the poor
that guy
guy.
had that guy would lasted 2/3 of an inning and gave up 9 runs. Sweeney was pissed. They just forfeited. Well, actually, they started out 1-0 in the game. Then he gave up 2. Like they entered the bottom of the third down 2-1. Then he gave up 3 more runs there in the bottom of the third. But I think it was just sort of the message that was sent.
That he was starting the game.
That they
at
brought
Yankee
him up
Stadium.
randomly to Yankee Stadium. Like, we don't have anybody else. We're going to pitch this guy whose only appearance in Major League Baseball ever was that one game. So I'm going to go out on a limb here.
He didn't get a second start.
He didn't get a second appearance. He didn't get a second cup of coffee. He didn't even get the cup of coffee. He got a sip.
He has one team and one game in
Yes.
his baseball reference page.
Yeah, they didn't. It wasn't even a cup of coffee. They just like
A sip.
poured it into his hand, and whatever was left over, he just like licked his hand,
Wait,
and that was it.
What
Yes.
was his final line again? What was
3
it?
1/3, 5 earned runs, 4
Hold my
walks, no
hands.
strikeouts.
He got changed for 100.
Not bad.
I mean, bad.
Not bad.
I would say
No,
bad,
no,
but
think
not-
about it.
No. It's not bad for.
Catastrophic.
It's not bad for how bad I presented it in
Yes.
my mind of what it felt like at the time versus what it actually was.
Yeah.
I don't recall
Not
him
bad.
getting out of the first inning. Is the
I
thing.
don't either. I recall it being 8-0, and by the time I tell my grandkids about it, that guy gave up 25 runs in the first inning and didn't record an out.
That's like the one thing I can't find is that game log. I'm trying.
And that guy
Because let me tell you,
turned into Zach Greinke.
there were 150,000 fans at the wild card game in 2014.
I actually was there.
But by the time you get to telling your kids about it, 150,000 people were in attendance at that game.
Yep.
Oh, I was there. Well, I was there too. I didn't leave early. Like even Corey Anderson, when he's going to tell his grandkids, will say that he didn't leave early.
I did.
Even though we know he left early
Hey, you have
to
a
beat the traffic.
You have an honest co-host now.
We're also a day away from the
No,
anniversary.
he was honest. He said he left early. He was like, yes. He was like, I left early.
Anniversary's tomorrow, May 1st.
Of the 2014.
No, the
of Eduardo Villasís?
Yes.
We should get shirts.
Oh my gosh, we should get shirts.
We should have
to
a
celebrate.
celebration.
We should have him on the show. Let's reach out. All right, can you let the producers know we're going for Eduardo Villasís?
I already sent that text 5 minutes ago.
Let Jake and Kyle know that Eduardo Villasís.
We should have like well, we should have done this when the Royals were like losing 100 games or something, and there was nothing to talk about until we got to training camp. But like those guys that made like their early debuts, and you're like, man, this guy might be pretty good, and then immediately sort of faded away.
Tony
And it was-
Pena Jr., yeah.
No, he played for a while. I'm talking about like pitched like 3 games, and it was like, wow, that guy came out like gangbusters. Like, God, Sedlicek was had a pretty, I think, an awesome debut, and it was like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe the Royals have something in Sean Sedlicek. Let's see. So his first 2 games. So here you go. Here's his game log: 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 6 2/3, 4, 7 innings, 1,
Wow.
6 innings, 3,
Okay.
7 innings, 2, and then it went the other way pretty quickly for him. But it was like, wow, the Royals might actually have some. Like that's not a one game. That's a guy that was like, no, actually he's out there getting outs. Like he's doing his thing. We should just have like all of those on maybe one day but we'll start with Eduardo Villasís. Let's reach out to Eduardo.
They
you got
just-
his Jack, you got his number?
I'm working on it.
They just did a great Rockies story of playing in Colorado and what it's like pitching in Colorado. It's the horror stories from all these players.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool story on
Hampton?
on ESPN. Phenomenal. Jeremy Guthrie actually talks about it a little bit as well because just funny that year he had a 9.5 ERA. Or was it 10? 10.5 in Colorado and a 3.5 on the road.
Eduardo Villasís gave up 15 runs in the first inning, so 10.5 is not that bad of an ERA because Villasís gave up 22 runs in the first inning with only recording 1. He actually only faced 1 batter and gave up 25 home runs. That was odd.
The point I'm making is the horror stories of that. We should get the horror stories of all the bad baseball in Royals history with the Villasís and the disasters.
What's a horror story for Sterling? Sitting muffins and cinnamon rolls in front of him when he's like, I'm on a diet. Somebody brought in McLean's, and they sat it in here in the studio. I'm not sure what it's for, but I'm not going to complain or
It's an
even.
accountability test.
That's exactly right. You know what? I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. You know what I'm saying? I am going to look at these things entering my mouth, the cinnamon rolls and the muffins. But it's right in front of Sterling, and he's on a diet, and we are
It's not
tempting
just
him.
the diet. It's the fact I have to get blood drawn after work, and I can't have this. And you have
so
no
to hell with the diet. It's the blood sugar that's going to mess up your
my
blood
test,
drawn.
and then I have to get it again. I hate getting blood drawn. So this is my nightmare because I love McLean's. They did our wedding cake.
Oh, no kidding.
Like, I love McLean's. Oh,
okay.
phenomenal. They did our wedding cake.
You want to smell it?
We have 2 cinnamon rolls. We have a lemon poppy seed muffin, which is so good, and like a wild berry. I'm shaking right now. I have to imagine this is what a drug addict feels like. That to me is
Come
like
on, baby, just taste.
That's a little L.
Come on,
that's
got
the
these-
H right there.
I got these cheeseburgers.
Oh man, that is some.
Just one little taste. Just a little bit. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back, and we'll continue to torture Sterling. More Zone next. Jackson Coar's debut. I'm telling you, Cameron's going to be much better. I'm pumped for Cameron's debut tonight. Oddly enough, I didn't feel bad for Eduardo Villasís, who gave up 27 runs in the first inning to the Yankees. I was more pissed like everybody else. Like, what are we doing here? Anybody else feel like that had to be the common theme or feeling around Kowar? Like, you just felt bad. Like, to the point of, like, feeling uncomfortable.
Yes.
Watching him on the mound because he couldn't get saliva. Like, he kept licking his lips and he kept, like, he was so nervous and so overwhelmed that just you could tell, like, on the mound, he had, 3 wild pitches in the game in his minimal. I don't know that he lasted a full inning. I mean, again, I couldn't.
Who looked more comfortable on the mound, Jackson Kowar or Rick Ankiel?
Or Kike Hernandez last night.
Yeah. I'm going to say Ankiel because he did it for a while.
I guess, yeah.
But Kowar.
And his was in the playoffs, too.
Yeah, right. Kowar was from the first pitch, man. From the first pitch. I felt so bad for him, dude. Because also, like, Kowar's debut was, here's Jackson Kowar. He's coming up because he's earned it, and he's going to have a spot in the rotation. The guy's got a .7 ERA. The guy's got 50 strikeouts in 35 innings.
Yeah, here we go. 4 earned runs, 3 hits, walked 2, 3 wild pitches, and then removed
How long did he play?
2 outs.
So 2 outs. Yeah, he didn't make it through the inning. And it was one of those to where you're like, get him out. You got to get him out, man. It's uncomfortable watching him because he just couldn't get comfortable, and everything was way too big for him. Maybe he would have been better off starting at Steinbrenner Field. I don't know.
Here's his Wikipedia page.
Oh,
this
don't
is
laugh at
incredible. Well, just how it's written. 9 appearances, 8 starts to his rookie campaign. Kowar posted a ghastly 0-6 record with 11.27 ERA. The fact they put a ghastly, that's pretty
It's a fitting word.
mean of Wikipedia. Mr. Pedia did not do a good job there.
Yeah. No, I'm pumped for Noah Cameron. Again, St. Joe in the house. St. Joe Central in the house. I'm going from the belt to the bay. There we go. You're cruising around the belt, you're a bad dude, man. If Noah Cameron, growing up in St. Joe, chilling at the belt, all around it, he ain't going to be intimidated by the Rays. He's not going to be intimidated by Steinbrenner Field. And you probably get this a lot, but did Steinbrenner live here? Is this where Steinbrenner lived? I didn't think so. I didn't think it was anyway. Yeah, but yeah, that's tonight. It's weird because it's such a small ballpark, but it didn't feel like the balls fly in that ballpark. And they talked about the wind last night. The wind was blowing in. Mm-hmm. Thank goodness the wind was blowing in on Jansen's hit. Yeah. Although the wind blowing in on a couple of others could have helped the Royals, score some runs, but it doesn't seem like left and right played to the distance of what the fence was. So I don't know. We'll see. Jack, what do you think we'll see from Noah Cameron tonight?
I think 4 innings. 4 innings, 5 innings of 3-run ball or less.
Yes.
That's what I'm going for. That's what I'm predicting. He's been efficient in the minor leagues. And I feel that there were a lot of lefties in the lineup last night for Tampa Bay. They'll probably go right-handed heavy. Keep the ball low. Don't let it get up in the cross stream and have a couple balls leave the yard. So 5 innings, 3-run ball or less, I can be satisfied by it.
Tex says, really, Jason? 27 runs? Aren't you being a little dramatic? I only remember it being 23.
I'm not going to lie. They had us in the first half.
I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that's a good one. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll talk some NBA Pops drama coming up next. Court and on the court. With Halliburton hitting the game-winning layup with just over a second left. And then Halliburton's dad almost hitting the floor if Giannis would have started throwing. Because that was quite the mismatch. I think the tail of the tape would give a strong, heavy favorite to Giannis. Because when they got next to each other and forehead to forehead, Giannis really has the reach on him. You know, I mean, Giannis can, because Halliburton's pops would have to really try to get inside and work the body, but there's no way that Giannis is going to let him get close to him. He's just going to jab, combination, and just stay on the outside. Like he's
the length.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous. Tail of the tape is Halliburton's dad is toast in that one. Let's hear from. I don't know which one I want to play first because I really enjoyed Giannis weighing in on what happened between he and Halliburton's dad. Tyrese Halliburton weighed in as well and just said, my dad was in the wrong. Talked with him. He knows he's in the wrong. I'm going to talk to Giannis. Let's hear from Giannis first. This is about 3 minutes long. He went in depth on what happened, his reaction to it, how he sort of viewed it, and obviously at this point he showered, had some time to cool off and everything. But here's Giannis weighing in, and this is some really good stuff from Antetokounmpo on what happened there after the game.
One thing I'll say is that I believe like being humble in victory. That's how I am. now there's can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta talk shit, and it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay, and that doesn't even say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort, but I remember when I won, my mom that she's never missed the games from February 11th or 13th when she came in Milwaukee against the Knicks. She never missed a game. When we won the championship, I remember my mom, she was scared to cross. She was like, am I allowed to come and hug my son? I see, except now my brother does media. For this year, he wants to come back and play. But like, except in that, you've never seen my family like see courtside. See, this is not something that we do. We don't. I try to keep my family away from the game. But losing the game, emotions run high. Having a fan, which at the moment I thought he was a fan, but then I realized he was Tyrese's son, which I love. Tyrese, I think, is a great competitor. He was his dad, sorry. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This is the F we do. This. I feel like that's very, very disrespectful. My dad, if you guys go and ask and learn, my dad's not with us no more. My dad used to come in the family room and was the most respectful person ever. When you come from nothing and you've worked your whole life to sell stuff in the street, and your whole life you'll be scared of the police of deporting you and sending you back to your country. You have to protect your kids with all means. You create this mentality of being humble your whole life, to not kind of disrespect anybody, not make the tension high, the emotions high, so anybody can snitch on you, say something bad about you. So when he came here, I remember I was like, Dad, why are you so humble? Why you go to the family room? You don't even say a word. You sit in the back. Why are you like that? Don't worry about it. Don't worry. That's how I grew up. That's what I had around. So when I see other dads, which don't disrespect me, maybe if my son play basketball, I might be in the court. I might be the one on the court, and like 20 years later, you can play this interview and say, Giannis, you're contradicting yourself. But we'll see in 20 years. But I'm talking about right now how I feel. Having somebody's dad, which I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his son, and I'm happy that he's happy for his son. That's how you're supposed to feel. But coming to me and disrespecting me and cursing at me, I think is totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Okay? And I'm not the guy that points fingers, because in my neighborhood, snitches get stitches. So I don't want to say something, for him to say, to get fined or anything. But it's not respectful. I talked with him at the end, and I think we're in a good place.
Really good stuff from Giannis on just how he approaches it. I don't know that many people would disagree with anything that Giannis said. I think almost universally, and maybe outside of Shaq, I don't know, that is viewed it as anything but Halliburton's dad being in the wrong. Like, you're a fan. Even though that's your son, you're still a fan. And maybe it's even worse. You know what? I'll say it's even worse that that's your son. You're not just some random fan. You're the player's dad. You're around this.
You're embarrassing your kid.
Right. It's one thing for your kid to embarrass you, Jack Solbrick, and the defensive coordinator for the Falcons. But you're going out there embarrassing. You're not him. Like, you didn't play the game. You weren't out there playing. You didn't make the layup. This is what the bleep we do. Well, you're also saying it to a man that's got a ring. And Halliburton doesn't.
Who went 30, 12, and 13, a triple-double.
Right. Yeah, and I get emotions being high, as Giannis said. Emotions are high, and you win the game, and you're excited for your son. But, if I'm the Pacers, if he's at a game, he's not anywhere near courtside. He's not anywhere. Okay, he can have some tickets, but he's sitting up in a suite or something. We're not. He's not going to sit courtside. We're not taking this chance again. Sorry, you lost your privilege. You were sitting there courtside, that's fine. It's great. But once you walk onto the floor, that's not your place. That's the place for the players. Like, we talk about kids rushing the floor after a game. And it's like, college kids, and they're having fun, and people get upset at that. Like, you've got a ticket, you're in the stands, stay in the stands, Because if Giannis reacts more than what he did, then you look at it and go, well, Giannis was in the wrong. I mean, you got to hold your composure, even though it's a fan and he's there and he's just holding a towel and whatever. And then they got together after in the handshake line or whatever it was. I guess it wasn't a handshake line after a series. It's just a scrum that they go out there and talk to whoever they want to talk to. But he eventually found him. And what's interesting is the video of it with Giannis and Halliburton's dad being forehead to forehead and looking like they're barking back and forth at each other is actually not what was happening. Because Giannis, his arms are yoked anyway. So it almost looks like he's flexing, but that's just how he looks anyway.
Yeah.
So if you see, it's like this guy's like trying to pull away from people that are trying to hold him back, but he's just like, that's just who Giannis is. He's just freaking ripped and looks like he's flexing at all times. He's a pretty decent athlete, I think. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. I don't care. I disagree with a lot of people that don't think he's a good athlete, but that's just me.
A freak athlete, some say.
Some would say a freak. But if you read the lips of Halliburton's dad, what Halliburton's dad was saying over and over again, you know what he was saying over and over again? I got you. I got you. I got you. I don't know what Giannis was saying, but Giannis was saying something very demonstrative, and Halliburton's dad was saying, I got you. And that's where you hear at the end Giannis saying, we talked, and I think we're in a good place.
Yeah.
Because even as it looked like Giannis was being pulled away, he looked back at Halliburton's dad and gave him a thumbs up and a pat on the chest and walked away. It looks like they were going at it, right?
It was Benedict Mathurin that actually started the fight after the game. But
Yeah.
not that. I mean,
Right.
that probably.
But also Giannis was like grabbing and like very like intense with Mathurin, like holding the back of his head and like it was odd what was going on at that part of it with Mathurin and Giannis. But Giannis and his dad, it's interesting because it looked like that was the worst part. Halliburton's dad goes out there, holds the towel, right? And whatever he was saying, we can't see. We don't know what was being said. We know that Giannis says that he was talking bleep and isn't going to say what he said because he didn't want anybody to be fined or in trouble. So other than this is what the bleep we do. And as one of the texts said, talking about bed sheets, so that he was talking about bed sheets.
What do you mean?
Giannis's accent of the word that he used that I forgot to bleep out.
Oh.
Said if you take away the bed, he was talking bed sheets, or just one bed sheet, really. It's a great text. God, that's exactly what he said. He was talking. The guy was talking bed sheet, but then didn't want to get into what he said. But
Do you know what his favorite convenience store is?
what's it?
Sheets.
That makes sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense. But it's an interesting dynamic of how theatrical the conversation looked like that apparently was the conversation of them squashing it, of them figuring it out again, because Giannis figured out he was told it was his dad.
I wonder if
Then he went over there after he knew it was his dad. Then they talked, and it's probably like, you're disrespecting me.
that, and also, hey, you know better than anyone that I could absolutely light you up right here, and I would be the one in the wrong, and you have nothing, like you're a fan, and you should know as a father of a player that, one, you shouldn't be out here, but two, I can't do anything to you, and you can basically, wave the flag at, in my face and all that stuff. Like, that's probably what was said.
Yeah.
Something to that nature.
Because
and that's why he was like, I got
you. And it looked like, and Halliburton said that his dad said I was in the wrong and was apologetic and was all of that stuff. That's fine.
If Giannis's dad runs up on,
Yes.
flip the roles, he knows, and he would, not like that either.
Right. I mean, just don't be that parent. You know what I mean? Like, don't be that parent that comes out on the floor with your son. Here's the TNT crew talking about it after the game was over. This is Shaq, Kenny, and Charles. And I'm going to go ahead and assume that Shaq did not see the first part where where Halliburton's dad walks out there and is standing in front of him talking about bed sheets to Giannis. But here's the TNT crew weighing in on their reaction from what happened.
He's not supposed to be on the court.
It don't
He's
matter.
not supposed to be on the court.
Giannis talked to him. Forget all that.
No, he was on the court.
So what?
You think he said something? He probably know who his dad is.
Stop it. Giannis said something
No,
to him.
because he's on the court in his face.
So what? Everybody on the court.
You can't do that.
Yeah, you can.
No, you
Everybody on the
cannot
court.
do that.
Giannis said something to him.
So you think his dad was
correct?
No, his dad was 100% wrong.
Giannis is wrong? Bro, Giannis said something to him.
No, he did not.
Yes, he did.
No, he not.
Look, right there.
No, his dad is coming up to him. What is his dad doing on the court? His dad is not supposed to be on the court. You can yell as much as you want to. He's an idiot. If you think that's right, you're an idiot too.
Giannis said something to him.
No, that's not true. No, I'm just telling you. That dad is an idiot, and if you think he's an idiot, you're an idiot too. I will say that no.
His dad is always on the court.
No, I will say this. We all have met his dad, and he has.
His dad's always on the court.
He shouldn't be on the court. You don't have an
court.
entitlement because your son is playing to be on the court.
Hold on, time out. He's always on the court.
He shouldn't be on the court.
I don't care. He's always on the court.
He should not be on the court talking to other players.
Bro, Giannis said something to him. He didn't say
came up
nothing
to
to
Giannis.
No, he did not.
No, that's not true. He couldn't have said
walking
anything
in the line
to
behind
him.
his son.
What do you mean walking in line behind his son? He shouldn't be on the court. He didn't play in the game.
Always on the court.
No, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be.
On the court.
No, there's no entitlement for that.
On the court.
It was frustrating watching that because it's like somebody just let Shaq know. Like,
yeah,
no, the head-to-head was the secondary part of it. Giannis didn't walk up to him in the handshake line and start talking to his dad like that. His dad came out earlier because when he said, "See, look, he's talking to him," they were showing the confrontation that was over near the scores table. But ignoring the fact that it was like, he went up to you. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He went up to him right after. No, he didn't. He should have been on the court. He's always on the court. It doesn't matter if he's always on the court. And if he's always on the court, then maybe there's an issue with that. Because has he done this before? We just don't know about it. Is this the first time he's ever walked up to an opposing player talking about bed sheets to him and potentially causing an issue, but the other players were just simply walking away? I don't know. But if it's happened before, then it's on the Pacers for allowing it to happen again.
True.
Because if it's ever happened before, also, if the argument is he's always on the floor, well, then let him know he's not allowed to be there. Well, he's always on the floor. Well, okay, then that's on the Pacers then. For saying that this, if you've allowed it this entire time, that he's always coming on, after the game, Halliburton's dad just walks on the floor and hangs out with everybody, well, then you've created a scenario to where emotions can run high, and you've got a fan. There's a family area. And especially when, like, Kevin Durant walks over to his mom to give her hugs after the game, right? When she's sitting courtside. Giannis talking about after winning the championship, his mom didn't know if she was allowed to cross the court, to come across the court to give him a hug, or should she walk around? Like, can she cross the court? And Halliburton's dad just walking out there just leisurely as if he's done it before.
Sure.
And that's sort of the point of what Shaq was saying, but Shaq is saying it as in excusing the behavior because he's on the court. That doesn't mean anything. If he's on the court before, it doesn't excuse the behavior of him going up and waving the towel into Giannis when emotions are high like that. The people that act in a sports arena that they would never do outside of the arena, you've got the false bravery. You've got this cloak of invincibility because you know there is no physical repercussion from this person.
Unless it's
if there
04-ish
but if there
and
is,
you go to
then I'm going to
Detroit.
sue. If there is, then I'm going to sue or whatever. Then it's going to be he's then in the wrong and he's going to get in trouble and he'll be suspended.
Yeah.
And it's on him
Malice at the
to
Palace.
be the
Yeah.
bigger man. It's on him to then withhold his emotions. And me, I paid a ticket, so I've got carte blanche to really say and do whatever I want to any athlete out here that I would never for a second say to them to their face. And in fact, it would be the exact opposite to their face. It would be the, oh man, you're on the other team, but such a big fan. Oh, I'm a big fan of yours. What did they do with in New York with Robinson Cano when they did like the video and they had a picture of Robinson Cano in like Central Park and he was standing behind this life-size picture and they were like, Robinson Cano's trying. What would you say to Rob? I don't know. Well, he's right here. What would you say to Robinson Cano? This is a picture of him. What would you say? And they're like, Robinson, you suck, man. Get out of New York. You're terrible. And he walks out and they're like, oh, man, I just hope you start playing better, man. It's so good to meet you, dude. Oh, like, that's how these fans are.
Yeah.
That Halliburton's dad, probably in a different environment, would be dabbing up Giannis, giving him a hug. I just hope
100%.
I just hope Giannis in the handshake line was headbutting Halliburton's dad going, yeah, I voted your son most overrated. Yeah, I did. I said he was the most overrated in the NBA.
Well, he did cross him and
his
hit the
dad,
game winner on him.
And his dad saying, I got you. I got you. He's the most overrated player in the league. I got you. I got you. That's the way that I imagine it.
He
being.
did cross Giannis one-on-one and finish. That was a good move by Tyrese.
Well, Giannis was also got voted as overrated, too, in that same poll. You know, I want to know who's voting. Like the seventh man on the bench?
Yeah, Dylan Brooks.
Dylan Brooks, what a great pull.
Nice
job,
yeah, man. I actually feel for Tyrese Halliburton, the son. I mean, you hit the game winner, Pacers moving on, and this is what is marring it. It's almost taken away from your moment because your dad wanted to make it about him instead of about you.
Has it happened? I do wonder, too, like, has that happened before? Has Halliburton been in a situation to where, whether it's growing up, AAU, college, where his dad, did something where that became the story, or
I don't know.
It took away from, I have no idea, but it's odd that in that moment would be the first time he ever did something like that. It's like when you're caught shoplifting. Like, oh, man, it's the first time I ever got caught shoplifting. It's the first time I ever shoplift, It's what are the odds that I got caught the first time I ever tried to do that,
well,
right?
You're not good. Your first time, you're not a talented.
But
you don't know
the odds
rules.
that's the first time Halliburton's dad said something to an opposing player.
I will say
pretty
this.
Slim.
The reason why I think it could be, I'm not trying to take his side. Your son just got voted the most overrated player in the NBA. He hits a game winner to move the Pacers into the next round over Giannis Antetokounmpo. I get this might be the biggest moment of his career. Like, to this point, that had to be, wow, most overrated my ass is probably what you're thinking. Seriously, like, I could totally imagine be like, okay, yeah, I'm overrated, as I just hit the game winner to send the Pacers into the next round.
Well, and Halliburton did tweet that out after the game. What did he tweet out? Overrated that or
overrate that?
Overrate that. That's what.
Yeah, I mean, so
it's obviously something that bothers him, and I can imagine why it bothers him because he's a fantastic player.
Yes, and so I can imagine. Again, not trying to take his side, but his side. But I can imagine his dad being like emotions even higher, even more proud, or even more.
And then he just
enthusiastic.
ruined that moment for your
100%. 100%. He ruined it. But I don't want to say that, I don't know if it's a pattern. No idea. But I could understand why, if this was the first time, I could, I guess, understand why this was the first time.
Yeah, Giannis was the 10th most overrated player by the 90 votes cast, by the way.
If Nikola Jokic is anywhere on that list, then this list is just absurd.
All of the names that got at least a vote. Halliburton got 14%.
Okay.
Gobert got 10%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
9.
Gobert's probably number one.
Should have been the winner.
Trae Young got 9%.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler, 5.5%.
Sure.
Bradley Beal, Draymond Green, Ja Morant, and Julius Randle got 4.4%.
I agree with all of them besides probably Ja.
Embiid got 3.3%.
Should be higher.
Yeah. And then the rest of these all got 2.2. I don't know if that's one vote or whatever. Somebody else can do the percentage math there. Giannis, Dylan Brooks, Paul George, Tyler Hero, Drew Holiday, Jaren Jackson, LeBron, Kuzma, Sabonis, Zion.
I don't know about that.
And then 2.2% is also no one who reached the NBA is overrated. So I guess you had a choice of nobody's overrated versus vote for somebody overrated. That's interesting. You had a cop-out. Nobody. But apparently Giannis got the same amount of votes as nobody that's reached the NBA is overrated.
The answer probably should have been Paul George, realistically.
Well, he's playoff Paul, though.
You got to make the playoffs first.
That's a good point. The league's most underrated player? Man, it would have been great if Halliburton was on this list.
Well, they did that one time. Was it most overrated and most underrated player? Who was that? And he won both?
I don't know.
Baseball?
Cade Cunningham is number 1 in the underrated.
Yeah, he's great,
list. Derek White, number 2. Norman Powell, 3. Then Austin Reeves, 4. Drew Holiday and Jaren Jackson are sitting.
You can actually switch Reeves and
5th
Halliburton.
6th. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I think
he seems overrated.
I think at this point,
Reeves Halliburton's probably more underrated than anything. Like, how many people, like just an average fan, like you should know who Halliburton is, right? He's a fantastic player, and he's a You know,
But because he plays for the Lakers, Reeves gets a new contract, which he's not
Nas
really
Reed
living up
might
to
be
right
one of the
now.
most underrated players in basketball too for the Timberwolves.
It's also one of the most underrated lyricists too. So
Nas, yeah.
yes, they spell it the exact same, right?
Only
The
one
exact-
letter difference.
All I need is one ball. Basketball.
Oh, I thought you were going Lance
no,
Armstrong.
basketball.
I thought I was
we're talking
thinking
about
Lance
basketball, man.
Armstrong.
We're talking about basketball.
Take.
You know what I mean? There's only one basketball out there. You know, Brandon Bean saying that to the morning show in Buffalo. There's only one football out there, okay? You can't have a bunch of wide receivers. You got to be able to stop it. You got to protect Josh Allen, you know? You guys are the same guys, you know, complaining about Josh Rosen or Josh Allen, you know, you dummies. You know, there's only one football out there.
Only one Josh.
And only one basketball out there on the floor. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. I do want to get into a conversation around Noel Williams and the third-round pick and the Chiefs moving up to get him using the Joe Thuney draft pick. And also the trailer, Netflix's next Untold documentary, the trailer is out. And we'll play that as well and talk a little bit about that, what that's about, who it is about, and what we'll
Gonna
see.
steal all the
from
awards.
That. Yes, I hope. Well, you hope the voters' welfare is good after they vote on all these awards. What's on next? All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. We'll talk with Matt Verderam coming up at 12:30 from Sports Illustrated. Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director, will be our guest coming up later on in the show. Tonight, Lakers and Timberwolves in L.A. right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Royals game 2 of the 3-game set with the Rays in action with Noah Cameron making his Major League Baseball debut for the Royals. The lefty out on the mound against the Rays with an opportunity to take the series, going up against Drew Rasmussen with a 2.7 ERA for the Rays. We'll see what the offense can do, if anything, tonight to help out Noah Cameron. Be nice if they could.
The Royals are good against good pitchers. They're bad against bad pitchers. So what does this mean?
They did beat Scooball.
They beat Scooball.
Yeah, there you go.
If this is the time for the Royals bats to wake up.
Yeah, you are absolutely.
They've been in a deep slumber.
Toast.
Someone kiss them.
Well, you know what? Because if they don't wake up tonight, tomorrow's May, and it is. We can no longer look at it and go, well, it's not even May yet. You know, it's not. We're going to wake up tomorrow, and tomorrow we can actually assess the offense. I'm so excited to do that. Tonight, it can change everything. Tonight could change. If they score 30 runs tonight, it really changes the perspective of the runs per game that they have scored this year. So, it's not even May at this point. You know what I mean?
I think it's going to be
May tomorrow.
Oh, I thought Dylan had just assumed he had
back
Matt
there,
Derrick's May just pulled. I just always assume that Matt Derrick is pulled up.
Working. Never not working. Is Dylan.
He is a grinder. He's a Gruden. He is a Gruden grinder. I'll give Dylan that.
Yeah.
He's a GG.
Yeah, you just wonder, like, at what point in the season do you go, all right, kind of whatever you've done in years past, what you're doing right now is how we can examine it and look at it for this year. Well, we can examine it in May. And then when tomorrow gets here, you know what we'll say at that point? Well, you kind of need 40 games. You know, kind of like quarter of the season. You know, that's what you really need. Well, you kind of need 50 games, you know what I mean? Like, 50 games is a nice round number. So when you get to 50, you can really you kind of don't even really want to assess it until you get past the All-Star game. I mean, if we're being real about it, it's the All-Star game, really.
At what point do we have major concerns on
Major
Vinny?
Concerns? For Vinny, I would say it's not even May yet. So we can't talk about it.
It could have been May.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. That was what I needed.
Found it.
That's what I needed.
Yeah, so when we get to May, then we can talk about real concerns for Vinny. But we're not there yet.
Seriously, though. Like
I know. Yeah.
Where are you at on the Vinny panic meter? Because
how many at-bats is he at right now? Like, I really honestly don't know the at-bats in all seriousness.
Vinny is at 109 at-bats.
I'd say 110. I'd start really getting. No, I'm going to give it. I mean, 15 more games is 45 games. That's more than a quarter of the season. And there are some slumps that people have. There are some hot streaks that people have. But if we're talking about Vinny not turning things around in a couple of weeks, then, yeah, I think there's real concern and pessimism around what he could be the rest of the season batting third in this offense. Because you can't have Vinny and Massey batting the way that they are in an offense if you expect to make the postseason. It's untenable.
Yeah.
It's untenable. You're not, if they average 3 runs per game the rest of the season, they're not making the playoffs. I mean, you're just not going to win enough games by holding the opposition to 2 or fewer runs. I mean, come on. You got to win some games where you score 8 or 9. You got to have a stretch to where you get hot. And again, maybe that happens in July and August when Bobby Witt Jr. turns into the greatest hitter that ever lived in those 2 months. So, you know, maybe that's what we're talking about. But, you know, if Michael Massey, and it's not going to be, so when we talk about the back of your baseball card, like this is what you play like, these 30 games are already in the books. So for Vinny, to get to, a 760 OPS, if he's a 760 OPS at the end of the season, he's going to have to turn it on.
Yes.
But what I would say is the rest of the year, can he be a 760 OPS? Because the rest of the year is, okay, well, the back of his baseball card says he's a 760 OPS guy. He OPS'd at 832 his rookie year in the 72 games. And then the next 2 years, it was 762 and 760. So what are we looking at? Bursting onto the scene or 2-year stretch where, 2-year stretch, it was 60 because he had the shoulder injury in 2023. And then he played 131 games before he messed up his thumb. So those 2 years combined, essentially 200 games, 760 OPS. I'll say that's closer to what he is. 544 OPS is not Vinny. It's a bad stretch. It's the only data we have to go off of this year, but it's a bad stretch of 30 games. He is not a 544 OPS guy. But if he's 760 the rest of the way, does that get him to 700 or 710 OPS for the season? I don't need him to be so good that at the end of the year, his OPS is 760. If that's the case, great. That's awesome. I'd love that. But can he be that moving forward? Can Michael Massey be a 700-plus OPS guy like he was last year the rest of the way? Again, he doesn't have to be so good that it averages out after 30 games in these final, 130 that he's going to have that OPS. Can he be that the rest of the way? That's what I'm hoping for this offense, is that Vinny and Massey, and you're like, man, since May, those guys are both OPSing over 700, because that's a massive change for this offense if that happens, because I don't think Garcia's going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think Bobby Witt only has better days ahead of him. That has been proven in his career, young career. And Jonathan India, again, the back of his baseball card says that he's not going to be this type of hitter. And he's been getting on base a lot more recently. And so more in line of what you would expect for Jonathan India. And Salvi is getting into his doubles stretch of Salvi, and that expected slugging is now turning into slugging for him. So is there optimism around the corner? Or is there a break in the dam around the corner? Maybe. But it's going to be a lot on the shoulders of a Vinny and a Massey to do that, because that's the number 3 and the 5 hitter essentially in your lineup surrounding Salvi that can be a couple of black holes to not hand the baton to the next guy and to end a rally.
So Vinny right now is OPSing worse than Kyle Isabel, to put that in perspective. Worse batting average, actually, than Kyle Isabel even. Worse batting average than Hunter Renfroe, to put that again into perspective. I mean, if you would have said who had a better batting average, Renfroe or Vinny, 30 games in, 29 games in, whatever you want to say.
It's 30.
It's 30.
It's not May, though.
I would not have taken Hunter Renfroe as my choice. Again, it kind of goes, again, the walk rate. We've been harping on Renfroe. This is not a pro Renfroe take, by the way. We've been harping on Renfroe. He has a higher walk rate than Vinny this year. That's got to change. I don't know what happened to Vinny.
That's what's troubling.
There was always supposed to be a floor with Vinny. The floor was, even when he goes through these stretches where maybe the power is gone a little bit. Maybe he's not a home run hitter at first base. He's got a little Billy Butler, right? Part of that game in him, where he's a doubles guy, great bat control, and also he should be able to take a walk.
That was one of the best things about him, is that his eye and it working the count, and was a guy that wasn't a free swinger, and was a guy that would take a walk.
He has
and that has slowly regressed in his career.
He has a worse walk rate than Hunter Renfroe, and he's tied for the lead with most strikeouts on the team. He's got a worse OPS than Kyle Isabel and Kevin Biggio. Again, I don't know what the change needs to be. You're in season. You now understand that swing speed is bolstered. It's up. You've talked about it moving up in the in the box. Will that alleviate some of the hooks? But right now, Vinny's the answer, because you cannot be worse than Kevin Biggio, Kyle Isabel, and flirting with Hunter Renfroe level of production, and be batting third and fourth and being a major cog. And first base defense has been really solid for Vinny. It's been solid. It ain't that good.
Yeah, the what's not adding up is typically bat speed and hard hit percentage you would think would go hand in hand, right? You would think the faster you swing, O'Neal Cruz hits the hell, Junior Caminero, bat speed. We saw, that guy can turn on a fastball pretty quickly. Vinny's, bat speed, as has been documented, is almost 3 mile an hour faster this year than it was last year, yet his hard hit percentage has gone from the 80th percentile to the 42nd percentile. So what I think is happening is the hard hits last year that were in play, those are hard hits that are foul now.
Yeah.
Those are hard hits down the right field line, and what he's putting into play, he's not barreling up, he's not, hitting line drives, he's not getting the hard hit percentage, he's not getting the exit velo, which is down to the 53rd percentile when he was up at 80 last year. That's pulled foul. And when does that start falling into play? When does that start going middle to right center and not right field to the right side of the foul line? Like, that's where he's working right now, is right field, right side of the foul line, instead of center, and right. To when he pulled it, well, now he's pulling it down the line. When he was working, it was center, right, center. But if he got in front of it, well, now it's just dead pull down the line. Now, if he's working, well, it's right field. And if he's pulling it and out in front, well, now it's 380, into the upper deck, foul.
Yeah.
On the right side of the foul pole. Like, that does you no good right now for Vinny.
I don't know if it was him trying to hit more home runs, but it feels like any type of player who tries to hit more home runs ends up destroying their swing. Whether that's the Andrew Benintendis, the Vinny Pasquantinos, the list goes on and on. Whether it felt like India early this year, Michael Garcia last year, it just feels like guys that try and do that, it has the opposite effect on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
His chase
might be wrong.
His chase rate was last year was 32nd percentile, not great, but this year it's 17th percentile. So it's gotten worse from not great. His whiff percentage, though, while the chase percentage was at his whiff percentage last year was in the 96th percentile, which is great. Right. Now he's down to the 62nd percentile, so he's whiffing more, swinging and missing.
He doesn't trust.
He's swinging at more pitches outside the zone, and he's swinging and missing. Shocker that's correlated there. Also, his exit velo has dropped.
Yeah.
Shocker. He's swinging at more pitches outside the zone. He's swinging and missing more often, and the exit velo is down. He's barreling up fewer balls as well.
But I don't know where he goes in season.
I don't know. I would hope to a hitting coach to help him out along the way. I would hope he'd go to him to figure out what the hell's going on.
Even just to get the game plan back of, he is a guy who traditionally has solid pitch selection, understands the strike zone very well, and makes really good bat-to-ball skills. Is it just completely in his head at this point? Is it he's not picking the ball up out of the pitcher's hand because he's been I showed the changeup numbers yesterday, and it is hysterically bad. Yeah. It is real bad. The fastball's bad, but is that what it comes down to? He's not picking the rotation up out of the pitcher's hand, because the things that made Vinny have that high floor have now disappeared, and that's not bat speed. That's something different.
Well, here's from 2022 when he made his debut to now. Now, remember what he was billed as a minor leaguer. He's selective at the plate.
Yes.
He will crush mistakes. He crushes fastballs, got a great eye, willing to work a walk, all of those things. The pitches in the zone swing percentage in 2022 was 68%. This year, it's down to 62.6. It's career low. His chase percentage in 2022 when he made his major league in the first year of his career, chase percentage was 26.5. Now it's up to 33.6 career high. So he's swinging at less pitches in the zone and chasing more pitches outside of the zone. He has slowly regressed from a player that was at 68% swinging at pitches in the strike zone to now down to 62.6, and taking pitches outside the strike zone We're only swinging at 26.5 of those. Now he's swinging at essentially 34% of those pitches.
It's a team-wide issue.
He's less selective.
It's a team-wide issue, though.
Well, then what's the point? If it's a team-wide issue, then who's the guy that helps out the team?
But it was before Zumwalt, though. That's the kind of the.
Well, no, it's been since Zumwalt.
True. But Salvador Perez has always been this guy.
That's always been Salvi. But Vinny's a guy that somehow in the big leagues has turned into being a guy that's chasing more, not swinging at strikes as much. When the great part about him was that his eye was next level.
We got to look at Michael Massey, and because Michael Massey's also been that guy where Michael Massey does not take 19 strikeouts to 2 walks. I mean, that's, again, extremely.
Right, but what I'm saying is the profile of a player switching what feels like this drastically over 3 years in the big leagues for Vinny.
Yeah.
From a guy who was a certain way throughout his minors and even the first couple of years in the league to now a guy that's chasing and not swinging at pitches that are strikes as much. Chasing more, taking more strikes. Why? Is he pressing? Is he not seeing the pitches the same way? Is he left eye dominant? Like, I mean, but what happened before? What was going on in the minors? And not even in the minors, but first couple of years in the big leagues. And he was facing big league pitching then too.
I'm trying to find Michael Massey. If Michael Massey,
he's in Tampa right now.
No,
if you're looking for him.
If he had a better eye in the minors than he did in the majors. I don't remember that being a huge talking point of Michael Massey. I mean, yeah, I guess he did kind of in 22.
Massey's chase percentage last year was 37.4. This year it's 33.2. So he's actually chasing less.
No, but
he's also swinging at fewer pitches in the zone as well.
But that's my point.
He's just swinging less.
Was he a guy who came up known for having a good eye, or was he a guy who was always more or less a free swinger?
I'll be honest with you, I don't remember.
Because for some reason I thought I remembered him being tabbed as a guy who could work a walk, but yet I look back at the minor league stats and yeah, it was fine, but it wasn't Vinny, where like that was a huge calling card.
So he came up, Massey came up and was a 55% swing percentage. Now he's down to 49. First pitch swing percentage was 35%. Now it's down to 14 over these 4 years. So, I mean, he was a free swinger when it came up. It seems like he's more selective. He's just swinging less. He's chasing less, and he's also swinging at pitches in the zone less.
The Royals have
he's trying to be more selective.
The Royals have drafted a lot of free swingers, though. Between Salvi, Massey, Garcia kind of, Kyle Isabel, but Bobby Witt Jr. even, like, your two stars are not guys that are going to – it's not Juan Soto. Yeah. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Jack Caglione.
I'm not saying it's a horrible thing. I'm just saying –
swung at a bunch of pitches outside the zone
Caglione
at Florida.
And so
because his bat-to-ball skills are elite.
Because the Royals value bat-to-ball skills versus
same thing with Bobby.
Plate, maybe discipline.
Yeah, but that's what's frustrating to me is that Vinny had that. Vinny was a guy, and maybe he's in his own head because he's the RBI guy. So if I take a walk, I'm not the guy driving the run-in, and it's my job to drive the run-in. But I just need to, instead of just passing the baton, just keep it going, I've got to drive this run-in. So if I've got to swing at a pitch outside the zone and send it out to the outfield to get a Vinny special, to get the sacrifice fly, then that's what I'm going to do. Instead of, okay, well, I'm going to sit on that pitch, and I'm not going to swing at that one. You know what? The next one was a mistake. And now he puts it in a gap. But if he's swinging thinking, I just got to put the ball in play because I'm an RBI guy, then you're less selective than I have to come up here and have a great at bat and do what I can to either drive the run in or hand the baton to Salvi. One of the two without creating an out. And if your mindset is RBI, drive it in, drive the run in, RBI, then your mindset is not have a great at bat and choose my pitch that I'm going to drive and make him pitch to me as opposed to close enough. Put it in the outfield. That's close enough. Boom. RBI. Thanks, guys. Walk off. High fives. There's a run. Maybe you take that pitch at strike 2 and the next one you put into the seats. I don't know if that's what's going on. I have no idea. Like, we're trying to get into the mind of somebody who's as meticulous about his swing as anybody else.
He cares more than us.
100%. Believe me, if we're thinking about it, Vinny's already thought about it, okay? Yeah. But it's a frustrating aspect right now of where that plate discipline is gone because it's not to the degree that it was before. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. One of the one that the profile doesn't match what his career has been, and you just wonder, like, all of these things combining at the beginning of the year, what are the reasons behind it? I don't know. We talk about Massey, we talk about Vinny. Jonathan India, like his spray chart last year, as you can see, is all over the place. It's beautiful.
It's lovely.
Beautiful, beautiful spray chart. All right. Tons of hits into center, right field. Most of his extra base hit and power is to the left side and up the middle. He had 5 doubles that were to the right side of center field, just anywhere to the right side of dead center. He had 5 extra base hits that way. 2025, he has 21 hits. Do you know how many are even barely to the right side of center field? Even just to the right side, not just center field, but just to the right side of the
this
second,
year.
This year, out of 21 hits, to the right side of the bag.
3.
Nice call, 3.
Hey.
To the right side of the bag, 3 out of 21 hits for Jonathan India, and that tracks because last year his pull percentage was 41.2%. This year it's 54%. His pull percentage. So not only is he hitting a bunch of fly balls, he's hitting them all to left field. Like he's hitting like 54% of the balls he hits in play are to the left side.
Which in Cincinnati might
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. His hitting it up the middle, these are the numbers in his career. Batted balls up the middle. 34.1%, 34.6, 31.3, 39.3, 26 this year. I mean, he's just out in front pulling everything. I don't know what that is. I mean, they had mentioned that Jack had mentioned that maybe it was Lesky, or that had pointed out that maybe that he slid back a little bit in the box. I don't know if that's to let the ball travel more to get a better gauge on it, but you would think if I'm stepping back in the box, I'm going to be in front of it a little bit more, right? I mean, but I don't know. It's if that changes to where the end of this, maybe there's a 30-game stretch in there in seasons past where India had this run. Maybe this is what in a couple of years we might be saying, oh, India's in a slump right now. He's pulling everything. Like we might be talking about that, and it's like, well, these are 30 games, and hey, he's pulling everything. It's an India slump. This is what a slump looks like for Jonathan India, is that everything is to the left side. Maybe the case. I just don't know enough about watching Jonathan India play, is other than season-long numbers, spray chart, this is what it looked like over the course of the season, where if there was a 30-game stretch to where he was just pulling everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I know that that's the outlier this year, is how often he's out in front and sitting it. Because that tracks from what our eyes are seeing.
Yeah.
Everything is to the left side for Jonathan India. More Zone next. We'll talk with Matt Verderame coming up later on in the hour. Sports Illustrated, get his thoughts on the draft. Kansas City Chiefs picks. Matt Miller has his, at ESPN, the top 100 best picks, ranking the top 100 best picks in his eyes. Overall top 100. The Chiefs had 4 selections that showed up in his top 100 of best picks. All in the top 66.
Remember, folks, and I love Matt Miller, but they are grading their own mock drafts to where we took them.
Absolutely.
And basing our grades 100%. On that.
Number one player, number one player overall in his ranking the 100 best picks, number one, Luther Burden to the Bears at pick 39.
Gosh.
As he had him, as he said, final overall ranking number 13 for him. Like you're talking about, Dylan, it's based off his ranking. He had Luther Burden number 13. He went 39. The second one is Will Johnson to the Arizona Cardinals that went 47th. He had him at the 7th best.
And that's a good one because
player.
Matt Miller is a trusted – he's not going to Mel Kiper this thing where, it's more his opinion than actual scouting.
Where the Chiefs land in the best picks selections, Josh Simmons comes in at number 29, taking number 32, but number 29. He said his final overall ranking was 29, but he talks about just that he's a Pro Bowl caliber talent that the Chiefs got at the end of the first round that you just don't get. So the value, best pick in that, shouldn't have been there. That he could be the Chiefs' long-desired solution to finally have an answer at the blind side. That was the 29th best pick in his mind. They have 3 other selections, do the Chiefs, that he liked. His next best pick was their last pick. Bashard Smith shows up at number 50 and went 228th. He had him at number 160. So the Chiefs clearly missed Jerick McKinnon's receiving and speed rushing ability last season. So now they have his clone in Smith, a former receiver turned running back. He won't steal inside carries from the rest of the running back room, but Smith can make an immediate impact as a third down back. And again, it's 2 years. It's 2 years in the waiting for me for them to grab somebody like this. I am so pumped for this draft pick for what he can do to the running back room and add the juice to the screen game, to the receiving game, to just look a little bit more dynamic on offense when you hand the ball off. Because, get him out in space and let him work. Again, I have long desired the next Jerick McKinnon, the Damian Williams that they had. Obviously, Kareem Hunt all around in 2018, fantastic, phenomenal, 17 and 18, but 18 with Patrick Mahomes, what he was doing and what he was pacing for. But Damian Williams offered the breakaway and the receiving ability out of the backfield. Heck, the first touchdown in the comeback against the Texans was Damian Williams on a seam route in which I don't know how many running backs catch that ball, but he looks back, the ball's already in the air and on his hip, and he reaches down, catches it, doesn't break stride, and runs into the end zone. That's an incredibly difficult play to make. And they go and win the Super Bowl. And then we see what Jerick McKinnon can do. And they haven't had that since. McKinnon lost a step. And it was like, okay, let's keep having McKinnon be the guy. But no, he lost a step. And then this last year, they just simply didn't have it.
Yeah.
They didn't have it at all. And Pacheco gets injured. And so that's the most dynamic player you'd have as a running back in terms of bigger plays. Kareem Hunt, great short yardage, great vision. Samaje Perine, great third down back. Carson Steele, great hair. They all have their certain things that they bring to the table. But there's so many different draft picks that I'm excited about, but this one, because it's been 2 years that I've wanted the Chiefs to get somebody like this. So he comes in at number 50. The next Chiefs player comes in at number 57 of his top 100 is Jalen Royals. In the 4th round, pick number 133, had him at pick 76. And he said, value, need, scheme fit, Royals pick fulfills all 3. My comp for him was Rashee Rice, and now Royals will get to play in the offense that helped Rice become a breakout performer prior to getting injured in 2024. That's 3, and then the last one is pick number 66 that he went with, or the 66th best pick of the draft, went with Noel Williams.
Yeah.
Pick 85, had him at 81. and then talks about his ability as a corner and 7 interceptions and playing on the outside and helping out McDuffie and what the Chiefs' track record is in finding and developing corners makes you feel pretty good about what this player is ultimately going to become. So those are the 4 players that made it in his top 100 of the overall ranking. But Noah Williams is an interesting one because you wouldn't expect the value of Joe Thuney to be 10 spots in the 3rd round. Now, the value of him was a 4th rounder. So, is that 4th rounder worth those 10 spots? Those 10 spots would tell you it's worth a 5th rounder. But for whatever reason, the NFL views next year's rounds 1 round higher than that year's round, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah.
I think next year's rounds are the exact same value as this year's rounds. Well, yeah, but it's next year. Cool. So the Rams got less value because they got a 1st-round pick next year? No, that's pretty damn good value for the Rams to get a 1st-round draft pick next year. They went from trading all their picks to now hoarding picks. Good for them. But I'm not a big fan of trading something that should be a 5th-round value to move up, trading an extra round that next year. Same thing with the Dallas Cowboys trading a 5th-rounder because they wanted a 6th-rounder in that particular draft. And the Chiefs did the same thing to move up 10 spots to go get Noah Williams. This is one to where you need to be right on Noah Williams. You need to be able to say that trading your 3rd-round pick, number 95, and Joe Thuney is worth it to get Noah Williams as opposed to who you would have got if you sat at 95 and Noah Williams was gone. Now, he may have been there.
Sure.
But he may not have been there, and they didn't want to take the chance.
I will also point out, and I like that breakdown, but you also have to count the rookie contract versus the Joe Thuney contract.
Agreed.
I think that's fair. I think it's unfair if you don't at least throw that into the equation. Now, I love Joe Thuney. Didn't want them to trade Thuney. I thought there was ways to circumvent and make it feasible to keep him on the roster. But I understand you don't want to pay him. You don't want to pay Creed and Trey with the franchise tag currently. You still have that 1 year left to Jawan Taylor, more than likely. And then, obviously, they wanted to try and bring a left tackle, which was Jalen Moore. So that'd be a ridiculously expensive offensive line. I understand the thought process there. But you do have to at least take into account that contract in regards to, yes, I agree, the trade up. Noah Williams is basically, this is Joe Thuney. All right, this is Noel for Joe. But you do have to, in my opinion, take the contract into consideration here.
No, I don't disagree. But that's the value you got for Joe Thuney, was the 4th-rounder,
Yes.
taking the contract into consideration. That's what you got. And then you use that to then move up and get Noah Williams. Now, they talked about the run on cornerbacks took place there in the 3rd round. There were 5 cornerbacks selected before the 3rd round. 6. Travis Hunter's a cornerback. So I'll say 6 cornerbacks taken in the first 2 rounds. From pick 68 to 84, there were 6 cornerbacks taken. So, or 61 to 84, there were 6 cornerbacks taken. As the Chiefs talked about, the run on cornerbacks took off. Amos at 61, Darian Porter at 68, Thomas from Florida State at 73, Siobhan Revel, the ACL tear at East Carolina, at 76, Justin Wally at 80, Jacob Parrish at 84, and then the Chiefs move up to 85. Because they were sitting there at the beginning of the 3rd round with 6 cornerbacks gone. I guess, yeah, it would be 6 cornerbacks gone. Noah Williams was the 12th cornerback selected. So at the beginning of the 3rd round, they were probably looking at it and going, we got a number of guys, so we can go Ashton Gelati here at 63 because we've got all these guys we like.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there goes Porter, there goes Thomas, there goes Revel, there goes Wally, there goes Parrish. And you're like, holy bleep. Like, all these guys are gone. There's 12 picks, and there have been 5 cornerbacks taken in these 12 picks. Like, this run on cornerbacks, we better get up, and it's worth the value to go and get this guy. I don't know who was on their board. I don't know who they liked outside of Noah Williams. I don't know what the selection would have been if Noah Williams was taken at 84 instead of Jacob Parrish. Maybe it would have been Parrish. I don't know what that selection would have been. But if I'm looking at Dane Brugler's rankings at the Beast, the Athletic, there were, at the time the Chiefs took Noel Williams, every player that was ranked ahead of Noel Williams, according to Dane Brugler, was already taken, and 4 cornerbacks below Noel Williams were selected when the Chiefs moved up to get him. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder when you get that late into it, so you never know. Like Justin Wally by the Colts was taken 80th, and he was the 10th cornerback taken. Brugler ranked him as his 27th cornerback.
Sure.
And he was taken as the 10th cornerback. The Colts clearly disagree with Dane Brugler in how they value that cornerback at, the 80th pick in the draft, Justin Wally from Minnesota. But there were 4 cornerbacks taken before Noel Williams that were ranked lower than Noel Williams by Dane Brugler. But if I look at the next 3 cornerbacks taken after Noel Williams, Caleb Branshaw to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Jalen Smith to the Houston Texans, Upton Stout to the 49ers, all taken in the 3rd round after Noel Williams, all taken in the top 100. So again, the Chiefs had pick number 95. I don't know if it's fair or not, because I don't know what the Chiefs board looked like. The Chiefs might have been sitting there with Noel Williams and then nobody else worth taking anywhere near here. So it's going to be worth going up and getting him. But if there's Noel Williams is the best, but I don't know. I'm throwing out a name here without knowing much about him. Upton Stout or, Jalen Smith. This guy is right there, but he's lower. We'd rather have Noel Williams. Well, if one of those guys turns out to be, and place you go to, opportunity, things like that all matter. But if one of those guys ends up being better than Noel Williams, or Noel Williams ends up being Joshua Williams, then it's clearly not worth moving up to get him. If Noel Williams ends up being a guy that's playing opposite Christian Fulton the next 2 years and is good and takes Jalen Watson's job, then you know what? That's worth it. Because as you talked about, you get the salary cap relief from Joe Thuney, and you go and get a guy that could be a 4-year starter at cornerback. Could be. Or a 3.5-year starter, or a 3-year starter. A contributor to this team that would be worth it if you feel like Kingsley can slide in and play left guard. And God, I hope he can. I hope he's good enough to slide right in and obviously not be Joe Thuney, but closer to that. Then it'd be worth it if you get that level from a backup that's now a starter, and then Noel Williams does that. He was the 12th cornerback taken. He was the 8th cornerback on Dane Brugler's board. It's going to be an interesting case study. It won't be as what feels like apples to apples as Kyer Elam and Trent McDuffie, because that was a clear win for the Chiefs. No getting around that, trading up to get him. But you can also say they traded up ahead of Jacksonville and Houston to get, well, actually, ahead of Jacksonville only, because the Chiefs took Noel Williams, the Jags took Caleb Branshaw, and then the next cornerback was taken at pick 97. So they moved ahead of Jacksonville to take a cornerback, and Jacksonville took a cornerback. So maybe it's as easy as Branshaw, who was the 15th cornerback according to Dane Brugler. The 13th cornerback taken off the board, it was his 15th cornerback. But the difference between 15th cornerback ranked and the Chiefs getting the 8th cornerback ranked is probably why the Chiefs saw the value and said it's worth it to move up, if their board was somewhat aligned with Dane Brugler. But it's always the cost acquisition for these guys. And maybe Jacksonville, Branshaw will go there and just stink up the joint.
Yeah.
And not be good. And Jacksonville, doesn't have the development staff and all of that. So you give benefit of the doubt to the Chiefs and their cornerbacks identifying and developing. But this is another one to where there's more of a pressure of being right on this one, because you did move up 10 spots, and Joe Thuney is what you use to only move up 10 spots.
So I find this interesting because I was looking up right there. I feel like we can go back to 2022 now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Dane Brugler and what he said about the 2022 NFL draft to see.
Interesting, yeah.
Because we always talk about, well, it fits this guy's draft.
Right, same thing we just talked about with Matt Miller. His top 100 picks based on his board. And, the Colts really veered off while the Chiefs, again, looks like they got great value.
I'm looking at it right now. Pick 1 with Trent McDuffie. They talked about him. He's a career as a dependable coverage player. Some of the Ringer gave him that pick a C-.
Oh my God.
He actually, Dayton Brugler was more high on McDuffie than other folk, and turns out he was right there. Look at Karlaftis. Doesn't have elite length or twitch, NFL power. He's a starting NFL defensive end in a traditional 4-man front. The Ringer gave it a B. I think Karlaftis and Dayton Brugler kind of nailed it there. The funny one, though, is Sky Moore.
Oh, God. Everybody loved Sky Moore.
Everybody loved Sky Moore. How he fits. I'm reading this. This is on The Athletic right here, so it takes everyone into account. The Athletic said, if you wanted to find a way to curb the loss of Tyreek Hill, this, quote, might be the literal best move Coach Andy Reid could have made. A terrific selection. Dane Brugler said, might have trouble creating sizable passing windows, but has outstanding hands, reflexes, detail-oriented mindset to grow into a 3-level threat. The Ringer gave it an A- pick right there.
Okay, yeah,
for Sky Moore.
Well,
so again, take all of this with a grain of salt because
for sure.
The worst player the Chiefs drafted was the one that a lot of people were the highest on.
Yeah,
some guys were more tempered in expectations on McDuffie, 100%. And yet he was the guy. So.
It's always with a grain of salt in that, and why I joked on Monday, right, when I said, the draft grades that people give out, it's so dumb. There's no value in it, right? It's just too early to do that. Like, look at these dumb grades. Like, Chad Reuter at NFL.com gave him an A. Okay, yeah. All right. The Athletic gave him an A-. Well, yeah, that's fine. That gave him an A. Well, there is value there. I do think there's some value to these grades that people give out, right? Because if we're going to look at their board and talk about what they think of these players, why would we just dismiss what their value is of what they think of these draft classes? I think we need to at least acknowledge and look at it based off initial reaction of what it is. C-, D, these are dumb. These are stupid. These are absurd. You cannot tell me what a draft class is on a grade before we've even seen them put on a jersey, even in practice. A+. You got to give credit to the people that have studied it the most.
So I just found that really interesting. And again, this is what we do at this time. It's no fun to just say, well, we got to wait till they play a game. We got to wait till they see like on the field.
Well, you got to wait till May.
Yeah.
You got to wait till, it's tomorrow.
I do always find that funny. Like, well, you got to wait till they
It could have been May.
But I really do find it funny. People are like, well, you don't know who they are until they play a game. Well, yeah, of course. But what kind of radio show is that? Just sitting here going, well, we can't talk about him until we see him play at least 4 games. Yeah, it wouldn't be a radio show. That would be the entire bit. So we're trying to do some projecting here.
What if he did that for every single? What do you think of Josh Simmons? Well, 4 games in, I'd love to see what he looks like. Omar, I'd say probably 4 games in.
Yeah, I really can't tell. I can't really get a good feel until I see him play in an actual game.
I'm wondering about your thoughts on Ashton Gelati.
So I have really strong thoughts on Ashton Gelati. I think we can't really get a feel until we see him play. Probably about 4 games.
No Williams? What do you think about him? Like, there's a development aspect with the Chiefs. You love what they can do with these cornerbacks, and so I'm excited about him. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, so, cautiously optimistic because until we see him play some games, I have no idea what he's going to look like. It's like that
makes sense. Yeah, that totally that's fair. That's fair, Sterling. I get it. Yeah.
So I know we're all going off of our preconceived notions of these players, and that's why I thought it was fun to look back at 2022 and see all that stuff because I was also high on Sky Moore too, and
we got a great view now of what that draft class was,
and
that was an A+. That draft class was an absolute A+.
Yeah, well, even including Sky Moore,
including Sky Moore and Kennard.
Draft. Yeah.
Now it helps to be an A+ when you've got that many picks.
Sure.
And so I think when you look at this draft class, you have to add in the totality of you traded back and got a 5th rounder for Josh Simmons. Okay, that makes the draft class better.
Mm-hmm.
You traded a 4th rounder next year to move up and get Noel Williams, great value, but then that sort of takes away from the fact that you traded back to get Josh Simmons.
Yes.
Although you can say, well, those things can even out then. Trading the 2 7th rounders to go and get a running back that you thought you were going to get in the 5th round. I don't mind that at all.
Well, I loved it because those seventh rounders more than likely weren't even going to make the roster. If you look at the roster breakdown right now,
I'll give you an example.
They couldn't keep 3.
What if one of the seventh rounders they used was on Jake Brennanstool, the tight end from Clemson?
Sure.
That was like their first main priority free agent. That was at NFL.com ranked the number 1 undrafted tight end. What if that was a guy? What if Elijah Badger from Florida, the wide receiver that they signed as an undrafted free agent, that Brugler had a 7th round grade on, that CBS Sports listed as the number 1 available undrafted free agent after the draft? Not at position, not just wide receiver. CBS Sports' Chris Trapasso listed Elijah Badger as the number 1 player that was undrafted, and the Chiefs signed him. So let's take that for instance. Let's go that route. They don't trade those 2 7th-rounders to move up and get Brashard Smith, who they really wanted. So they don't get the running back they really wanted. They get another running back, and then they draft Elijah Badger and Jake Brennanstool. Well, yeah, it's pretty good. Elijah Badger was pretty good. Brennanstool, 10th best tight end in the draft. I mean, it's pretty good according to. Dane Brugler had a 5th-round grade on Brennanstool, and you got him in the 7th round. Hell of a value. But they didn't get the running back they wanted. So they move up, get the running back they wanted, and they get a tight end they may have drafted anyway in the 7th round. The number 10 overall tight end to Dane Brugler, a guy who he listed as a 5th-round draft pick. NFL.com listed him as the number 1 tight end available.
Yeah.
They get him. Like, when we add different perspective to this, Melvin Smith Jr., cornerback, the NFL listed him as the number 1 cornerback available after the draft. Glendon Miller, safety. NFL.com listed him as the number 1 safety available after the draft. Esa Pohl, Washington State. Dane Brugler put a 6th round grade on him. NFL.com listed him as the number 3 available tackle after the draft. The Chiefs came away with all these guys.
Yeah.
In their priority free agent list. I'm going to go out on a limb. Call me crazy here. I'm going to guess.
You're crazy.
You got a dart in your neck.
You're crazy.
You're crazy, man. Yes. I'm going to go out on a limb and say 2 of these priority free agents would have been the 2 7th-round picks that they traded away to get Brashard Smith.
Yeah.
Is that crazy? Is that out on a limb to think that would be the case? Or is that looking at and going, NFL.com is saying the number 1 tight end, the number 1 cornerback, and the number 1 safety after the draft all signed with the Chiefs. CBS Sports is saying the number 1 overall player, not wide receiver, but overall player, signed with the Chiefs. Dane Brugler saying the number 10 tight end in the draft and a 5th-round guy, Brennanstool from Clemson, signed with the Chiefs. You throw that into context and you're like, well, that's a hell of a deal to move up and get a guy that you feel like should have been gone in the 5th round.
Yeah.
In Brashard Smith, who was Matt Miller's 50th best pick of the entire draft, was a guy they got in the 7th round.
He may be 50th on his draft board, but he's number 1 in my heart. Okay?
I'm going to wear 20, but we're indubitably going to be number 1. It's from the program. I know you don't know that, Sterling.
No, that's on from 2 to 6.
Matt Verderam's next. today as the Royals get the win last night against the Rays in Game 1. Noah Cameron making his debut. St. Joseph, I'm already coining it, from the belt to the bay, making his debut tonight. Noah Cameron, looking forward to seeing what he can do out there on the mound. I don't expect a long outing from him, just simply because he hasn't been extended down in the minors. Last 2 starts, 4 innings. Last start was 2 innings. So can he get 3-4 innings there? 4 innings, give up a couple of runs, hand it over to Daniel Lynch, and, see what he can do. And, Jack Johnson, talking to him earlier, brought up a good point and said maybe that's why you saw Zerpa there in the 7th inning and not Daniel Lynch, is because Noah Cameron's going tonight, that maybe you got Daniel Lynch ready to go to pick up when Noah Cameron gets to the end of his rope. 913-912-4810. Let's talk about the NFL draft, and joining us now is Matt Verderam, Sports Illustrated, joining us here in the Zone. Matt, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Jason. How are you?
I am doing just fine. I appreciate you joining us, and obviously it's something we talk about a lot, is the draft leading up to it and the fallout from that. You at Sports Illustrated gave the Chiefs a letter grade. I joked yesterday, Matt, that and I'm like, man, letter grades, just what's the value in them? They're so dumb. Like, well, this guy gave them an A, and this guy gave them an A+, and they got an A-. You know what? I actually think there's good value in that. This guy gave him a D. It's dumb. Who cares? Sort of depends on what it is for your team. I think it's interesting just as an initial thought process and thought exercise of what they were able to accomplish based on how we feel sort of the value, needs, scheme fit, how everything sort of worked together, and also working the draft board, moving up, moving back, and trying to get value from that perspective.
Yeah, look, we all do the grades and we take our best shot at it, but realistically, nobody knows. I mean, this could be the worst draft Brett Veach ever had. It could be the best draft he ever had. Now, obviously, I gave him a B+, which was, I think, the 3rd best grade I handed out. I'm a pretty tough grader, so I think he did really well. I thought they got a lot of value up and down the board. I thought they really satisfied all their needs. I wanted to see them get a little bit more explosive offensively. They did that. I wanted to see them add a D tackle with some pass rush juice next to Jones, and they did that. They got a lot of value in Royal, who I think is a guy who easily could have gone in the 2nd round. Jalot was a guy that Mike Silver over The Athletic, he wrote in his article that the Jags and the Rams had a deal in place that the Rams were willing to give up their 2nd round pick to get Jalot at 70.
Oh, wow.
And the Chiefs ended up taking him at 66, and then the Rams called off the trade. So, look, they got a lot of value in this draft. They filled a lot of needs. And when you can marry need and value, that's a good 3 days. I think the Chiefs were able to do that.
Yeah, I really like what they were able to accomplish. I'm with you that we'll find out when they play. Like, we all had a pretty good feel around 2022 and that draft, and now we can look back and go, well, that was a hell of a draft. That was a really good draft, and it's done a lot for this team to extend the window for Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. And what you have with this team. And this draft, we'll find out as it sort of progresses over the years. You mentioned the value and things like that. We've discussed, and I wanted to get your thoughts on a guy like, Josh Simmons, the risk reward that goes along with the pick at number 32. Do you like the fact that they drafted him knowing that the injury's there? They certainly have a good feel of the injury. Was the risk reward worth it for you at pick number 32?
Frankly, that was the one pick that they made that, while I understand it, I would not have made that pick. Now, look, they may look back in 10 years and they might say, hey, it's the best pick we ever made. The guy stayed healthy, and his attitude and maturity stuff that floated around for the draft wasn't a problem, and they feel really good about it. And, hey, you go forward and say, wait, what a steal. Frankly, I worry about a guy who's 320 pounds, coming off a torn patella tendon, who you talk to teams before the draft, and there are a lot of concerns about maturity and love of the game. And, that's a big risk, because if that guy doesn't pan out, not only do you blow a first-round pick, but, realistically, you probably blow a couple of years of trying to figure out the left tackle position in Mahomes' prime. So, there's a concern there. Now, the flip side of that is, I also understand where the Chiefs are coming from. All the D tackles at that point that you would take, they were off the board. Josh Simmons, I believe if he's healthy, was a top 10 pick. There's no world I'm convinced that he's not going ahead of Kelvin Banks based on those two takes. But he wasn't healthy, and he's not currently healthy, which is why he was there at 32. The Chiefs got comfortable with the medical. They have a good history with that. Trey Smith is a guy that, for different reasons, obviously blood clots, they were comfortable with his medical. They took him in the 6th round. Now, the 6th round is a hell of a lot less of an investment than the 1st round, but they took him. He's become a great player. You have to believe that they did all the due diligence that they needed to, and they feel like this is a worthwhile gamble. I probably would have taken Luther Bird in that spot, but I understand why they did it, and the upside is obviously enormous.
Are they in a position, because we talked about maybe Ronnie Stanley for the Chiefs, and obviously that was never going to happen because the Baltimore Ravens kept him. Trent Williams and the Chiefs back in after the 2020 Super Bowl and trying to rebuild that offensive line. They got Joe Thuney, made a real play for Trent Williams. He stayed in San Francisco. Looking back, probably the biggest miss on Trent Williams was not trading for him and then probably being able to re-sign him from that standpoint. But we see different players, and it's like, what does it take to get somebody like this? Are the Chiefs uniquely in a position, from what a glaring hole has been and this revolving door at left tackle versus how you can possibly find the answer there, to be a team that takes Josh Simmons at number 32?
I think the Chiefs are at a point where if you don't hit on him, let's say he doesn't play a single game this year, they get still in the Super Bowl. They're still one of, 4 teams that are favorites to win it. Philly, Kansas City, Detroit, Buffalo, like those 4. Throw somebody else in there, want to throw them in the ring, that's fine, but probably those 4 teams. I get it. They probably figure if it doesn't work out, they've got Jalen Moore on a reasonable, cost-controlled contract for the next couple of years. And I think they've just basically said, look, we're going to absolutely hedge our bets to the hill. We're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that Patrick Mahomes has a left tackle. And if they both happen to work out, if Simmons and Moore both work out, then awesome. And you move one, probably Moore to right, and you have Simmons on the left side, you go forward. Look, it is a risk. To say it's not is foolhardy. It's a risk. But, yeah, they are somewhat well-positioned to do it because, in fact, very well-positioned to do it because of who they are, because of the development they've had across the rest of the roster. They did not go into the draft any massive hole. They needed another D tackle, but the D tackle class is so deep they knew that if they had to, they could get one on day 2. It's what they did. They went into the draft basically saying, look, we kind of take whoever the heck we feel is the best player available. And like I said, to me, it was Burden. Now, just a lot of that because he's not hurt, and I think he's underrated. But I also would be the first one to tell you that if Josh Simmons is healthy and really good, he's more valuable than Luther Bird. So I understand where the Chiefs are coming from. It's risk, but yeah, they were well positioned to take.
Visiting with Matt Verderam, Sports Illustrated, our guest. Is there anything that you would have liked to see them address maybe in the draft that they didn't? Because I'm with you. I think every single positional group that I was looking at and like, man, I'd like to see them do this and that, where there's a lot of different positions where they can go, but can they add depth there? It's like, check, check, check all across the board, and it certainly seems like there's great value along with a lot of these players. Was there a spot that you thought maybe they would or they should have that they didn't do that?
Really, no. I kind of went into day 3 saying, look, I think the one thing they haven't done is fix the lack of explosiveness in parts of this offense.
Mm-hmm.
But then they did it.
Yeah.
Like, Jalen Royals was a guy that I really thought they might take a 63, and it wouldn't have been a reach. Like, I thought, okay, here's a guy. I get at Utah State. He has been super productive. Yeah, he had the foot injury, but he came back. He ran a 4.3 at the combine. Like, he's healthy. That guy was destroying the Mountain West, and you look at his tape, and he can do a lot of everything. So to get him in the 4th round, I thought legitimately was a 2nd-round value, at worst early 3rd. And then for Short Smith, look, a former receiver, converted over, transferred into SMU, was all ACC last year, over 1,300 yards, on the 4.3 40-yard dash time. Like, again, another guy who, if they had taken him in the 5th round, you would have been like, oh, okay, it's fine. Like, they ended up getting him late in the 7th. So I thought they could use another corner. They got Noel Williams. I think Williams is a great fit for what Spagnuolo does. He's a press man corner. He's physical. good ball skills. I thought they needed depth at edge. They got Jalot, who I think, again, is another guy. Probably not crazy guy. He probably went where he should have. But 26 sacks at Louisville, a lot of production, a really character guy. Like, I don't know what you would have wanted out of this draft. I mean, even with my reservations on Simmons because of the knee, I don't know what else you could ask for in the draft. Like, if Simmons is healthy, it's an A draft. It's a great, and if he's not, I still think it's a B plus. And I still think it's a really good draft. I thought they really were patient, and then at times also moved up a little bit. I thought they utilized the board really well. I thought they did a hell of a job.
Yeah, I'm with you. I come away really the same as you. It's like, okay, so what didn't they address that you would have liked to see them address? I'm like,
right.
I don't know, really. Like, and I talked about this a little bit before you came on the show, Matt, and Matt Verderam's our guest, Sports Illustrated. I said, if there's one thing, maybe tight end. They traded 2 7th-rounders to get up and get Brashard Smith. But I can make a strong case that if they didn't trade those 2 7th-rounders, one of those 7th-rounders would have been used on Jake Brennenstuhl from Clemson that they signed as a priority free agent, and was widely listed as the best tight end available after the draft and was a top 10 tight end in the draft for a lot of different people. Like, who knows? Like, it was like, well, and some people had him as a 5th-round grade, Matt. And if we say they don't trade up for Brashard Smith, and then they take Brennenstuhl with one of their 7th-round picks, you're like, well, they hit on everything, right? I mean, they took every single spot, and it's like, well, yeah, the tight end is there, but then they get that guy right after it's over. And I think the priority free agents, they did a pretty good job too. I just, this was a crucial draft for Brett Veach, and we'll see how it turns out. But with all the data we have to go off of, I'm not sure that there are areas that they could have done, much better than what they were able to accomplish.
No, I think they really worked the board up and down. I thought they did a really nice job. They married need to value. That's a hard thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you end up either kind of saying, all right, we're going to reach a little bit and we'll live with that because the need is great, the value's not, but okay. Or the flip side of that is, a lot of times you end up sitting there and you take a value, but maybe the guy's not really in a position in need, but the value's so good that you did it anyway. I really don't feel like there's a single guy that reached on.
Yeah.
I don't. I think Norman Lott went where he should have. I think Jalot went where he should have. And literally everybody else, I think, probably should have gone earlier than when the Chiefs took him.
Yeah. Matt Verderam is our guest. Looking around nationally and some of the things from the NFL draft, is there a lesson to take away or be learned from the theme of the draft, which was Shedeur Sanders and where he went or didn't go, the draft process, the build-up, the anonymous conversations and things? Is there a lesson to be learned, take away from any of this at all?
Yeah, interviews still really matter. In the end, this is a job. This is you're applying for a job. That's what you're doing. I think because it's a sport, we all look at it differently. You are applying for a job. And these employers, these 32 employers, can choose not to employ you. And I thought Shedeur Sanders, look, his talent, to me, warranted at worst a mid-day 2 pick. And I think you could really make a case even an early day 2, even a late day 1. Like, I mean, you're going to tell me that Jackson Dart's that much more talented than Shedeur Sanders is? I have a hard time buying that. On the flip side, I would sit here and say that when you, by all accounts, go out and have a horrific pre-draft process because your interviews are not good and you turn teams off that way, listen, you're a quarterback. If you do that and you're a linebacker, you're a D tackle, team may not care as much. You go, you know what? Who cares? Let's face the franchise. Like, so-and-so will keep the guy in line or depending on the personality. Or maybe it's more of a, hey, you know what, this guy will mature a little bit under so-and-so's wing, whatever it is. You're drafting Shedeur Sanders. They're going to face your franchise. Like, that guy in the first, second round, that guy is the new face of your franchise. And I think a lot of these teams just went, yeah, no, we're not dealing with that. That's not happening. Like, we're not, and the other part of it, too, is when you draft the quarterback high, first round, early second, you are hitching your wagon on. Because if that guy's not good, for whatever the reason, you're fired. It's over. Very rarely do you survive that. I mean, the Niners did it because they lost to a miracle. It was Purdy in the 7th round. if they don't look into Purdy and they play Trey Lance, Kyle Shanahan's not in San Francisco anymore. Neither is John Lynch. So I think, look, the lesson learned there is it's not all about 40 times. It's not all about how far you can throw the ball. There's a lot that goes into it, and it includes a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors.
That's honestly why that's why I think that Deion is escaping a lot of culpability in this, because he knows what these people are looking for. He knows what the draft room and the interviews and all the things that you need to do outside of all the measurables, and he just didn't do it. And he also kind of poured gas on the fire. He didn't even try and pull him aside and say, hey, that interview wasn't very great. We need to kind of change our way of going about it. Like, that never happened, according to all these sources and all these people coming out now, which is why I think Deion almost should maybe take a little more blame as the father, because it's like, you were in the NFL and you know exactly what they're looking for in these interviews. And he did the opposite.
I mean, look, Deion Sanders is a great player. He's also Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is not going to stop pouring gas on any fire.
That's also true.
I mean, he's Deion. And, I think also, too, look, the reality is, I think there was a question. I know there was a question of, like, okay, this kid is a talented player. He's also been under his father's wing. What's going to happen when he goes into a locker room and dad's not there anymore? And this is the NFL. And I can tell you right now, I've been in a lot of locker rooms. I've talked to a lot of players. Guys do not care what your name is. They don't care where you were drafted. They don't care what NIL money you have. They don't care. Can you win a football game? Can you make sure that my kid doesn't have to change schools next year? Can we win enough games that I get to stay here and get a new contract? That's what they care about. This is a job. This is a business. These teams, these players, they don't care. They don't want to hear about whether or not it's Shedeur Sanders or Shedeur Smith or whoever. It doesn't make any difference. And I think sometimes with Deion, understandably, there's a certain level of ego that goes into it. Where I'm Deion Sanders. Yeah, you are. You are an all-time great player, one of the great corners of all time. He's your son. He was he's a Heisman finalist. Like, listen, Shedeur Sanders has a reason to have an ego himself, and I'm not saying that's the whole reason he fell to fifth, but there's a lot of things going into it. But I do think that the pre-draft process was a big part of it. Yeah. And I also think, too, look, this is a class that we all knew going in. The quarterback was not highly thought of. Cam Ward was going number one, and after that, it was a lot of questions. Now, am I shocked he went in the fifth? Yes, 1,000%. But I had a lot of people down at the Breakers in Palm Beach at the owners' meetings telling me, look, don't be surprised. This guy's a day two pick. Do not be surprised. And frankly, I didn't really believe it, because I figured, well, it's a quarterback. He's a quarterback. He's going to go earlier than he should, and he didn't. He fell and fell and fell and fell in a shocking manner.
Visiting with Matt Verderame, Sports Illustrated. Last one for you, Matt. How long would you ground your son if he cost you a $100,000 fine?
Oh.
I mean, forever?
I'd give my son away.
And the team, $250,000 as well.
So he cost your dad's employer $250 and your dad specifically $100,000?
Yeah, and look, I will say this too. Like, nobody's perfect. God knows I've done things in my life that I wish I could take back and change. I mean, that is the kind of thing. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? First of all, kid should never have his number. Second of all, that's just a crappy thing to do to somebody. It's not funny. You're not edgy. You're not the first person that's done it. Like, I don't know that I agree with people who say Ulbrich should have lost his job. Like, now, if Ulbrich was the one who made the call or something, then yeah.
Yeah, right. If he's the one that pranked him.
He deserves to be fine. And his kid, if that was my kid, that kid would be cutting enough lawns over the summer to last a long. We would have a landscaping empire by the time he was done.
The neighborhood would be taken care of with lawns and shoveling for the next 2 years. No doubt about it.
A long, long time.
Matt Verderame, Sports Illustrated. Matt, you're the man. Appreciate it as always, brother. We'll catch up soon, man.
Hey, you got it. Take care.
Absolutely. There's Matt Verderame, Sports Illustrated. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and continue rolling as we'll talk with Mick Schaefer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. More so next. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels. Hang out with Mick Schaefer in the next hour. If you didn't hear, Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, whose son was able to acquire Shadur Sanders' number off of his dad's iPad, unknowingly taken. His dad had no idea that was the case, was not aware. And then they posted it. But the investigation by the NFL, they have fined the Atlanta Falcons $250,000, and they fined Jeff Ulbrich specifically $100,000. So he cost his dad $100,000. According to Front Office Sports, Ulbrich's contract is $1.6 million. So, I mean, come on. It's like, what, 7% of his yearly salary.
No, but after tax?
Son. That's true. That's true.
Can this be a tax write-off?
Is 100? Yeah, right. I mean, can you take that money and donate it to, like, charity? And then I just gave $100,000 to charity. You know what I mean? Like, that's just smart. That's his son helping out taxes. Now, all of a sudden, his son's going to start running his foundation.
It's gonna go to charity. He actually is given $100,000 to buy Shador a chain that says Legendary.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
No, it's actually
charity.
Jeff's son Jax is actually giving it to a girl named Charity. Here's $100,000. Great. And I've got Shadur Sanders' number.
She sounds nice, Jason.
Yeah, I've got Shadur Sanders' number. Man, I know he doesn't live at home. It's a 21-year-old. The
Thanksgiving is going to be awkward.
There's a good enough chunk of time between now and then where there might be, some forgetfulness, but probably not from Jeff.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Son, I've been paying your insurance, paying your car bill. You got it now. Go ahead. Until that equals $100,000.
I'll tell you what, he's for sure not going to be on the phone bill anymore.
You're paying for your own phone bill, damn it. All right, I don't care. I don't care if you got to go to Cricket. It's Crickets from my credit card from now on. Jack Solbrick of Lars Ulrich.
What does he make as a DC?
1.6 is what the front office sports said his contract was 1.6.
Before tax, though.
It's good
before
for
tax.
That is
Well,
true.
all of our salaries are before
Yeah,
tax.
but
Speak for yourself.
So basically,
no, actually,
he's getting fined between 5 and 10% of his salary. Would be what it is.
It's a good chunk.
Good chunk. Yeah, think of your own salary getting fined that much. Yeah, your kid's gonna
not thrilled.
You're gonna catch it.
Yeah, like I said, he's now in his own. He's now on his own phone plan. He's now paying for his own car insurance. He's paying for his own car. College, he may be paying for.
Go into debt. Yeah.
Yes. Although apparently he's a football player at D3. But do D3 teams have football scholarships?
Oh, he is. I thought he was at Ole Miss. He's not.
So that's what Dylan was saying. It's just he just happened to be wearing an Ole Miss shirt.
Okay, gotcha.
So he plays at D3. I'll look up the Georgia school, but it is a football. He's a running back, and his stats.
Well, and they don't have scholarships.
Yeah,
at
so,
D3.
I mean, somebody's paying for something there. He's paying for it now. You better get a job, buddy. Better get a job. As Matt Verderam said, the summer lawns are going to be taken care of for the neighborhood. The lawns and driveways in the snow are going to be taken care of for a while.
Falcons
around there.
better have a top 10 defense, otherwise they might be moving on
first
from
one
him.
to go.
They also spent a lot of draft capital on 2 edge rushers for Jeff before.
That's
this
true.
Was out, so.
That's a good point. Trading back
Did
in.
the Falcons happen to play the Browns this year? Do we know?
I'll look
I don't know.
That's a good question. So the college is Barry College.
Barry
College Vikings. Jax Ulbrich, number 20. He's a sophomore. Let's see his stats.
Sophomore at 21?
10 attempts, 54 yards, and 1 touchdown.
You say he's number 20.
He's averaging 5.4 yards per carry.
Well, no, he's 21 years old too, right?
Yeah.
And he's a sophomore?
Yeah, redshirt.
You redshirt sophomores?
Yeah, you can be redshirt.
You know how you know
I
how
graduated college at 21. What?
No, you didn't, Doogie.
Okay, he's in his 3rd year. If he's in his 3rd year, he can be 21.
Yeah.
I turned.
That just seems.
Yeah,
old.
your junior year, you turned 21. Senior year, you turned
There's
22.
some Perry Ellis going on.
There's
here.
some things to get upset about. I don't know if this is.
I know. Like
this is why I'm upset.
You're really thrown off by this.
Like, what? How dumb is this kid? He's a sophomore at 21 years old.
That's kind of my issue. Is maybe he just.
Were you young for your class? When did you
a little bit. April 25th.
Did you graduate
You
as
didn't
a
graduate at
17-year-old?
21. Were you only in school for 3 years then? You
I
graduated
had
as a
just
22
turned
year old.
22.
Yeah,
I just turned 22.
So you're 22 years old.
Yeah, so
you
like
graduated in May,
everybody
right?
else. Yeah.
My birthday's April. So okay. The last 15 days of my.
Okay.
How old were you when you graduated?
22.
Don't.
No, I'm just wondering how old you were when you graduated.
Guys, I got a rim yesterday.
Oh boy.
You know how I told you guys I to see how
not
long
told me anything like
I
that.
can try and get rim. I'm 31. I can still touch rim.
There's no Browns on the schedule for the Falcons.
Speaking of Browns.
So there you go. So no Browns on the schedule.
It's on Sterling's schedule.
I guess.
I'm talking basketball, boys.
We know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about.
I'm talking hoops.
We know what you're talking about. We're aware. But thank you for playing Metallica for us for Lars Ulrich. Who was not signed. Who was not fined, by the NFL. Boy, how about $250K? Not even just, hey, don't let it happen again. Here's $250,000 for the Falcons and $100,000 for the
drop in the
person.
bucket for an NFL team.
Yeah, that's true. But
it's pocket change.
But it's not ideal. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, that's the biggest deal. Like that's going on his
but
file.
I guess it had to. It needed to be somewhat substantial to make sure it doesn't happen again. A deterrent.
But then also too, it's like okay, this guy with like sensitive information was pretty careless with it. Yeah. And that's what we deal in as an NFL team: sensitive information, whether it's playbooks or stuff like that. Can we really trust?
But
them?
how did they like? There were like 4 other people that were.
Abdul
pranked.
Carter got one too.
Yeah, Tyler Warren got one.
They didn't post
but do they?
it.
Right, exactly. But
we
do
wouldn't
they
have heard about this?
But do they? And here's my question about those: did they have specific burner phones only for NFL teams? Like, did Tyler Warren have a specific burner phone number? That the only people that had that were the NFL team. So if he was pranked, it would have had to have come from an NFL team having that number. That's what was so crazy about
you
Shadur.
think these guys have burner phones?
Shadur Sanders' number was
one?
only NFL teams had that number. That's how they knew it had to be somebody within the NFL that had that number, that it got out, because Shadur Sanders had a specific phone only that the 32 NFL teams had his number for.
Almost all those guys don't have burner phones.
I would guess not, but if you're going to be like a top 15, top 20, I don't want to get random phone calls in the middle of, was it Marshawn Lattimore? No, not Marshawn Lattimore, but who was lights out for the
Sean
Chargers?
Merriman.
Sean Merriman. Yeah, like I said, Marshawn Lattimore. Sean Merriman.
There's a Sean in there.
I think Sean Merriman said that somebody posted a picture of him on the phone when he was getting drafted, and he said, actually, that's me on the phone with one of my buddies that was asking me, am I watching the draft? And he said, that was the last time I ever talked to him. So I hope that story's true.
Yeah.
I hope he took a call from somebody, was like, are you watching this? Are you watching the draft? You're about to get picked.
They're showing you on the phone right now.
You're about to get picked. Like the last time I ever talked with him. A different story than Lawrence Taylor and his memory of draft night when he had 41 Coors Lights.
41 is the mic, actually.
I think 41 was the Coors Lights,
Light
too.
number, too.
41 was the Coors Lights. He didn't remember much about draft night. And who are you watching with? He said, drinking buddies. Watching the draft with my drinking buddies. Family? You can call them that. Yeah. It's family, depending on how you view family. You know what I mean? So, yeah, different experiences. I don't know how many players would have specifically, because apparently it's a common theme that people get pranked all the time for this. Like it just one of the undrafted free agents, priority free agents, got pranked in like the 6th round that he was getting drafted, and then he wasn't drafted at all. Kind of different if you get pranked and then you get drafted, but to get pranked that you were getting ready to get picked and then you don't get picked at all, that sucks. Like, why even do that though? Like, what's the point? Like, why that? It seems very cruel to do that just to try to.
College kids do cruel stuff all the time, and they're not even thinking. And
not
in 10 years they'll realize.
Not my
that was
friends.
dumb.
Yeah, not my friends. We never did anything cruel at all. We were all very respectful of everybody's privacy, space, and everything. You know, it's all, especially in the fraternity house. We were all good. You know, everybody had their own areas that everybody just completely respected.
This is different. Remember the little story about, was it
you pooped on his bed again, didn't you?
Oklahoma playing Miami, and the Miami guys are calling Brian Bosworth's hotel room and saying, "Brian, come out and play." That's like this way you're messing with a guy's hopes and dreams, right? This is like this is my opponent, and we're gonna get in his head. I think this is a different deal. Don't do this.
Did you see the trailer is out for The Fall of Favre? The Netflix documentary, the latest Untold Netflix documentary.
Would that be Brett Favre?
Yes. Actually, it's just a documentary about a city named Favre and just how beautiful it is in the fall. It's The Untold. But let's take a listen to the trailer for, and let's take a listen to what this documentary is going to be about. His career on the field, or something else.
The fall of it.
Let's find out.
Everybody wish they could be an NFL quarterback. You get all the notoriety, you get paid all the money.
Brett Favre was a cult-like, iconic figure.
People say he was a football god.
There are a lot of reasons why you might question Brett Favre's inner goodness.
Allegations that he sent lewd texts and photos to a New York Jet employee.
Brett Favre ultimately destroyed my life.
In the life of Brett Favre, not everything is what it seems. He starts to go through life thinking, I can do whatever I want. At what level does that stop?
I was at a game, and someone said Brett Favre wanted my phone number, and I just kept saying no. I started getting text messages, and then I started getting voicemails when I was like, oh, I'm in serious trouble here.
Maybe we shouldn't be surprised that he got caught up in a federal welfare misappropriation scandal.
You take money intended for the poorest. I don't know how he sleeps at night.
People don't want most of that stuff to come out. People want their heroes.
When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
So it's just going to be
about the Super Bowl season,
probably. Totally about the Super Bowl season. Desmond Howard's kickoff return, how cool that was, his reaction to everything.
Played streak.
That's right, absolutely. The
Played
trade.
Football in the fall, so it's like the fall of Favre. So it's all about his football in the fall.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they were pulling any punches with the Brett Favre documentary coming out.
Doesn't seem like this is his production company in charge of this.
I don't think this went through. Did he have final say?
Yeah. Do you think Copperfit knee braces knew about it? Or?
That's it.
I said it's Mark Gastineau's production company.
Yes, that's a good
call,
man.
I kept waiting for him. He would play football in jeans in commercials. It was the worst.
It was the Copperfit one where it was him and Jerry Rice, and they played pickup football in jeans and Copperfit.
Right.
But the best, always gets me to this day, why were they on the same team? Like, you pull up to a park
Somebody
with like
pick
10
somebody
guys.
else.
First off, there's like 15.
I'll take Jeff. I'll take Jerry Rice.
I'll do Jerry Rice. I guess.
There's like 15
Yeah,
guys
Jeff, we
just
got
playing
'em.
pickup football because that's what we all do in our free times at age 50 is play pickup football. And then they both show up, and it's like, no, let's all-time quarterback. We split them up.
Elway and Terrell Owens were on the other team. That's why.
That must have been,
they didn't show that part.
Yes.
That
Also-
just always gets me. How do you not split them up?
Also, with all of the grass that's there, why does he keep throwing it to guys in the mud? Like, he keeps leading them right in the mud. That's a jerk right there. That's just
so right.
That's somebody that is just taking pleasure in somebody. Oh, threw the ball. Whoops. Sorry, it was in the mud. Literally the only spot on the field, Brett. It's the only mud on the field. Why do you keep throwing it there? It slipped. Whoops. Sorry about
Somehow
that.
Jerry never got the throws in the mud.
Yes.
But Mike did.
You poor thing. And you know I don't care about poor people. Poor thing. I hope your welfare is okay. I'll check your Speaking of that, I'm just going to Google search Brett Favre and welfare. See what comes up there.
Oh, Jason, you're
Sorry
not
about
going
it.
to like this.
Let me sign you. Let me sign you a picture of myself.
Yes.
Here's
I'll
a
just
pic.
Send you a quick one. It's a quick pic is what they would call it.
Do you have a phone number? I can get your phone number.
Yeah, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Do you
I'll get
think,
watched.
You think he's going to sue them the way that he sued people that came out and said that he had done these things?
He might.
For Southern Miss. There's also a...
Is this all allegedly, of course? Like, I have no idea if it's official of what he's done or...
I don't know. I felt like the welfare scam thing is pretty official. There was a paper trail and everything there.
Yeah, so this came out, I don't know when this came out, but by the way, I saw this morning.
I think there was a picture trail for the one thing.
Yeah, that definitely was. The NFL already investigated that. Fined him $50,000. They fined him $50,000 for that. But if you release Shadur Sanders' number to your son, you're getting a $100,000 fine. You don't mess with that.
But what about inflation?
Yeah, that's true.
But that, I mean, I imagine that act goes on in the NFL quite a bit.
The prank one or the pictures
the picture one sending to people, whatever.
But
the other thing with the welfare and scamming the poor people that hopefully does not.
I would wonder though, but is it from somebody who didn't give you their number and didn't want the text and the solicitations?
That's what she said in the deal. Like, I didn't give my number, but all of a sudden I got.
Yes, so I mean, and yeah, that sucks for her to have to go through that. Part of this story that was uncovered, and boy, it comes full circle for this weekend. Brett Favre lobbied for funding for University of Southern Mississippi athletic programs to help recruit current Jackson State quarterback Shadur Sanders to the school.
Really?
In addition to asking then Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant to allocate $5 million in temporary assistance for needy family dollars towards a volleyball court, Favre also pushed for an additional $1.5 million to build an indoor football facility that would attract Sanders, the son of Jacksonville State head coach Deion Sanders. Quote,
Jackson State, right?
Yeah. Sorry. Quote, I picked up Deion Sanders and his son, who's going to be a junior in high school and plays QB. He has at least 30 offers thus far, including us. Deion and I have been great friends since '91, and we have great respect for each other. That was the text that he sent Governor Bryant to see if he can get $1.5 million to build a football facility to get Shadur Sanders to go to Southern Miss out of the temporary assistance of needy family dollars fund. But they did get that volleyball court, which is good because his daughter didn't have a whole lot growing up.
That's right.
So it's nice that she would have a nice volleyball program to go to at Southern Miss and have nice facilities and a new court and everything because, you know, when you come from the dirt, when you come from nothing that she's had to overcome in her life and all the obstacles and everything that she's had to deal with, it's tough, man, and it probably deserves it more than the needy families.
Well, I mean, he only made in his playing career $141.8 million.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but how much is that? You know
that's like half a quarterback contract now.
Yeah, but he was also fined $50,000 for
they took away
messages
do that
to Jen Sturger. So there's
$141.8 million. So yeah, that makes sense why he was.
You never know, like what these documentaries are going to focus on.
I feel like you do on this one.
Yes, I know. This one's pretty clear of how they're going about this, and
It's
quite frankly,
the '96 Super Bowl season.
Quite frankly, I appreciate it. Let's see what they uncover in their investigative research, and how much of this could be alleged or not. And hearing from people that were actually involved, and hearing from Jen Sturger now, 15 years later or longer. That was like 2008, 2009.
I bet at the end there's going to be a screen of black and a paragraph that says Brett Favre elected not to be a part of this documentary.
We reached out to Brett Favre for comment. He declined to be a part.
Yes.
Yes. He declined to be a part of the documentary.
Well, do you think they called it Fall of Favre? Because then he literally thought, oh, they're going to talk about me playing football.
Yes.
They tricked him.
They tricked him.
We're doing a story about your career in the fall. So
in the fall or and the fall? Yes, the fall. Part.
Fall. What do you think fall is? I mean, we were going to call it
Favre, so
we were going to call it Autumn of Favre, but we thought Fall of Favre was more of an alliteration. It sounded better. Yeah. So Autumn of Favre sounds, let's just go with that, shall we?
I mean, there's some good sound bites in there. Like he was a football god, right?
He was, right. Everybody wants to be a quarterback because then you can think you think you can do whatever you want. You think you can get away with whatever you want, and apparently he did. But that ending, that dismount, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So there you go. There's that is coming out in a couple weeks, I think.
Fall? No, in the summer. Crazy.
Coming out
still in the spring.
The summer of Favre. They were going to call it Summer of Sam, but they changed it.
Sorry, title's already been taken.
Let's hear from the TNT crew last night. Shaq and Chuck and Kenny were arguing over Tyrese Halliburton's dad and Giannis as Tyrese Halliburton's dad came onto the court. Probably seen the video by now. And Halliburton's dad waving the Halliburton towel in Giannis's face. Later on, Giannis and Halliburton's dad get forehead to forehead talking. Here is Kenny, Chuck, and Shaq. And really, it's Chuck and Shaq going back and forth. And the line from Chuck is great. A couple times he uses it on Shaq. And we can all just assume with this clip that Shaq is unaware that Halliburton's dad walked out and walked up to Giannis before the whole interaction later on happened, because he's very much in a corner on being wrong in this.
He's not supposed to be on the court. He's not supposed to be on the court. Giannis talked to him. Forget all that. No, he was on the court. So what? You think he said something? He probably know who his dad is. Stop it. Giannis said something to him. No, because he's on the court in his face. So what? Everybody on the court. No, you can't do that. Yeah, you can. No, you cannot do that. Giannis said something to him. So you think his dad was correct? No, his dad was 100% wrong. Giannis is wrong? Bro, Giannis said something to him. No, he did not. Yes, he no, he not. Look, right there. No, his dad is coming up to him. What is his dad doing on the court? His dad is not supposed to be on the court. You can yell as much as you want to. He's an idiot. If you think that's right, you're an idiot too. Giannis said something. No, that's not true. No, I'm just telling you. That dad is an idiot, and if you think he's an idiot, you're an idiot too. I will say that no. His dad is always on the court. No, I will say this. We all have met his dad, and he has. His dad's always on the court. He should be on the court. You don't have an entitlement because your son is playing to be on the court. Hold on, time out. He's always on the court. He shouldn't be on the court. I don't care. He's always on the court. He should not be on the court talking to other players. Bro, Giannis said something to him. He didn't say nothing to Giannis. No, he did not. No, that's not true. He couldn't have said anything to him. What do you mean walking in line behind his son? He shouldn't be on the court. He didn't play in the game. Always on the court. No, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be. No, there's no entitlement for that.
Even Tyrese said my dad was out of line.
Right.
And also,
his dad said it too, and his dad apologized and was like, yeah, that was disrespectful. I apologize, all of that stuff. It'll never happen again. But Shaq is clearly unaware that Halliburton's dad walked out and walked in front of Giannis with the towel because he said, see, right there. And they were showing the clip of them forehead to forehead. Later. He's like, see, he talked to him. Like, but before that, Shaq was like, no, he didn't. no, he didn't.
He was walking behind him.
Well,
wait, what was it, a handshake line? Was his dad in the handshake line?
He was also on the court.
Always on the court, according to Shaq. There should be a hard and fast rule here in sports that everybody should be universally agreed on. Players don't go in the stands. Fans don't go on the court.
Right.
Right? Or on the field of play.
I don't know. It's been 21 years since Malice at the Palace. I don't know if we need another one to really set the
Well, the way the NBA playoffs are going, we're kind of headed that way. Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, I mean, if you run out on the field of play, football game, baseball, basketball, you're kind of forfeiting a lot of rights there, and I'm all for it when that doesn't happen anymore. But back in the day, like football players would tackle dudes that were running out on the. Oh yeah, and
James Harrison did it as well.
Dude, I remember in Chicago would have been 20 years ago or so. Brandon Berger, right fielder for the Royals. That's when the father and son ran out.
Or the league. The league
A,
or whatever their name was.
I can't remember if
Father,
it was
son.
when they. I think it was when they attacked
Tom Gamboa.
No, Laz Diaz, the umpire. That's when,
okay,
and Berger had caught the final out. He's running in. He's got the ball in his hand, and he starts punching the dude with the ball in his hand to create almost like a rock hitting him. I'm like, that good for Brandon Berger there. I think that was the Diaz one, because both happened in Chicago in about the same year, back-to-back years, because Gamboa got attacked, and then Diaz got attacked too.
Yeah, so Gamboa got attacked
by father's son.
Yeah, by father's son.
And then one dude came after
15-year-old
Diaz.
son, 34-year-old and 15-year-old son.
Yeah,
that attacked Tom
I bet
Gamboa.
They're going well these days.
Really? Yeah. They're I think they
learn their lessons.
It's probably a story of overcoming odds.
Yeah. The fall of the Legays.
The summer of the Legay family. William and William. Oh, they're both William. William II and William III. Well, I guess that doesn't fall far
They
from
do
the tree.
everything together. They name their names together, and they attack people.
What do you think? What do you think William I is doing though?
He's very ashamed. William I is not claiming William II and William III. It's like I wish I would have named him anything else.
William
Can you call
II
him?
has William III, and they're probably attacking people together.
And William I is like, can you just call him Bill? His name is actually Bill, and that guy's name is Richard. So it's not William at all.
Yeah. And I'm like not anti-court storming, but hey, if you run on the court, you're kind of forfeiting to me a lot of rights, and the stuff can happen to you, and I'm not going to feel bad.
Well, like the dude that which team beat Duke this year? Was it Clemson? But
Clemson. It was like their first conference loss.
Yeah, and so the kid runs on the court and runs right up to the Duke huddle and starts screaming at him. And Shire, nudges him and pushes him out of the way. And then there's video of Shire pushing him out of the way. And that kid then tweets out, here's the video of John Shire pushing me when I was running onto the court. And then other people were like, oh, hey, here's the full, maybe take a step back there, dumbass, because you ran right.
The guy at Penn State with Jason Kelsey, right?
Yeah.
With the phone,
God,
right? He takes his phone.
I don't get why people think they have a right to be an ass because do they think it's funny? Like I will never understand people that when I get
the Missouri-Nebraska game. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
The kid got punched, cold cocked.
But don't get me wrong. Like I'm a Missoula. I love the University of Missouri. I would never think that would give me the right to go on the floor and talk smack to the other team. Like
we've established earlier with the
it's like the dumbass
Falcons
rule.
DC
No, it's the
kid.
dumbass rule.
Yeah.
I think you're right though. It's the dumbass
stuff.
rule. If you think you can go on the floor in a situation like that, you deserve to get smacked.
Yeah, college-age guys like Tyrese Halliburton's dad, right?
That don't know any better. The frontal lobe hasn't fully formed yet.
You make bad decisions. It's a learning lesson for those college kids.
21-year-olds make bad decisions all the time. And so, look, if he's on the court all the time,
then that's got to be 6 minutes. Got to be like
right. But the Indiana Pacers take some responsibility in this too. Yeah. If he's just always on the floor and walking around,
you mean
he's
after the game?
After the game,
okay,
right?
Yeah.
If he's always on the court walking around right after the game, one, then the Pacers haven't nipped this in the bud before, or two, do we really believe that if he's always on the floor after a game, that this is the first time he's ever talked some smack to an opponent that was leaving the court, and he just happened to get caught? So there's no, I got caught shoplifting. It's the first time I've ever tried it. Like I had never done it before. I got caught shoplifting. Oh no, I've never done that before. It just happened to be caught on video with me and Giannis. It's the first time that's ever happened. If in fact he's always on the court, as Shaq says, and the other guys acknowledge, but it's just like, what does it matter if he's always on the court? It doesn't matter.
Like that also exonerates you from what you did just because it's the first time it happened. Well, sorry, guess what?
A dude
first
whose
time,
season
only
just
time.
ended.
Yeah, but also you would never ever approach Giannis away from the basketball court and do that.
All right, what's worse, Tyrese Halliburton's dad or Jax Albright?
I think Jax.
Because
like
Jax,
we said too, because one is like
Jax
you're
for
taunting
sure,
an
yeah.
opponent
One is heat of the
but
moment too. Like your son just scored the game winner.
I'm going Jax too, by the way.
And this is just
if you think age involved, then it gets a little closer. But
Jack, just like this is not like you like. It's not part of gamesmanship or taunting an opponent or something like that. It's more just like cruel, and this guy's his biggest moment.
Right,
You're trying to ruin it.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
cruel.
exactly.
You had called the premeditation.
You
of
had
Jax
time to
makes it
think
worse,
about
yeah.
it, where his dad again, no excuse. We've already weighed in on what we think of it. But his dad, they win and just then, walks out on the floor and is waving the towel. Still dumb. But Jax
and also, by the way,
plenty of time.
In basketball culture, that happens all the time at AAU circuits and high school games and things like that. Like that is, yes, a level of professionalism is expected when you make not only the NBA, college, but that happens.
If he would
all the time.
if he would have gone up and yelled at an official, then it's okay. Then that's different.
That's fine.
That's totally fine. Yeah, because they're just not good. You know what I mean? So it's okay to yell at officials.
Call an official and let them know they're about to do the NBA Finals.
100%,
right?
man.
And fool them that way. That's fine.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Hey, you've got the job. You're going to be doing the World Series. Are you serious? Yeah. I've been waiting for this a long time. We're going to have to wait longer. Click.
Dummy.
What does that mean? What do you mean wait longer?
You just got jaxed.
We need Caglione to hit another home run soon so we can say that that ball got jacked up. Jacked up. Darn right it did. Yes. He needs to hit one soon, man. It's been a while. I feel like when he doesn't hit a home run, I forget he's alive.
I feel just by because you only see when he's doing good. Like,
I
you
know.
feel like he's hitting 400 with like 30 bombs already, and that's not the case.
But I know he doesn't have 30 bombs because every time he hits one, it comes across my timeline.
Lots of times.
I feel like he's the only minor leaguer that's hit a home run. He's the only player for the Naturals down in Arkansas that's hit a home run.
He's the only person that ever got hit off Kershaw, and he got 2
outside of the playoffs.
That's right. Yes.
Speaking of 2, get your 2 movies ready.
No. We go to break for segment number 2.
Touche.
Too legit to quit. All right, hanging out on a Wednesday edition of The Zone. Jason Anderson, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer here with us on a Wednesday. You know, it's funny, Mick. You talk about people coming up to you and it's like, hey, you're on the radio, right?
I think I get that more than TV.
Yeah, we were at dinner last night. Went to Red Door over off of 119th and Row, and our server Juan is helping us, and he looks over and keeps like looking over as we're talking, and then finally he's like, "I recognize you." I'm like, yeah. He goes, "You're on TV."
Yes.
He goes, "Sunday Sound Off. I watch it all the time." I'm like, "Yeah."
Weeks.
I said, "That is exactly where you recognize me. Is from Sunday Sound Off." That is
no
correct.
other spot.
That is correct. It is Sunday Sound Off.
It's good to hear.
I thought that was great. He's like, "You're on Sunday Sound Off." He's like, "I'm a big fan. I watch it all the time." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome,
You'll get
dude."
that soon, Sterling.
I
You that
can't
kid
wait.
that played bagpipes and crocodile tears?
Yes, I am. But now I'm doing a rendition of Jesus Christ Superstar.
I can't wait till that happens to me, and they're like, "Yeah, you're the guy I really dislike on that show. All the other guys are great,
hold
but
on.
every time you come on, I turn it off."
Hold on, I recognize you. Didn't you sell me a house?
Yeah.
Didn't we work with you when we bought our house? I thought that was you. I knew I recognized.
Hey,
Your voice sounds familiar.
Sterling loves his clients.
I knew the voice. I would picture it anywhere. Yep, you screwed us, but I would think
I would never.
I would remember that voice anywhere.
I would never. I'm a win-win man.
Rotten Tomatoes. Let's get into it right now. A couple of movies. We always start with Sterling, so let's not do that this time. Who wants to go first? Not named Sterling.
Okay, I will.
Nope. Dylan goes first.
This is my
I'll do it.
Dylan's first. Dylan's first. Well, that's fine. You can go last. We're saving the worst for last. Or the best. Or the middle. We're saving the middle
Because
for
he's always
last.
last, and so he can't come back.
It's like a cinnamon roll. We're saving the middle for last. All right. Dylan, you'll go first.
Moneyball is my first movie.
Okay.
Moneyball.
Moneyball.
That'd be me for the tomato meter.
Yep, for the critics.
They're going to like that, I think, a little bit. Probably I'll do 82%.
Son of a gun.
You going 82?
I was going 83.
Can't do it now.
I'll
Good
go
luck.
86.
Which way?
Go with my gut, 84, right in the middle.
Oh, that is horrible. That's a horrible
Well,
guess.
Jason wins. It was 94.
Yeah,
So
you
close.
gotta go.
You almost
There's
had it.
two.
No, I just
Little.
sometimes you have to go with your gumption. You
Yeah,
gotta
well,
go.
Keep doing that.
Yeah, your gut sucks. Keep on that diet there, buddy. All right, now we do what the fans
Popcorn,
thought.
the fans.
88. Doing
Charlie?
Tony Gonzalez here. 88.
I will go
I should have gone with the number Scott
90.
Hatterberg wears.
86 for Daddy.
Ding, ding, ding. Mick Schaefer gets 2 points with 86%.
Wow.
Jason, you were very close.
Are we doing 2 or 3? I thought it was a
Two.
3-point
It's two.
difference.
It's
Two.
3 with
Yeah,
3
two.
people, 2 with 4.
Yeah,
I see.
come on.
Okay, very good.
Try to keep it.
That is 2 for Mick, and we go to Mick's movie now.
All right, the owner of the Cleveland Indians, former showgirl Rachel Phelps, takes over, and Major League is what we're doing.
Major League.
1989. I couldn't get the rest of the bio there. What are you doing? Tomato meter, Jason.
Critics, I will say, gave it like a 67.
I'll go 75.
I'll go 80.
83.
Wow.
They're high. Critics
Good
like
for
that.
them.
Yeah, they weren't high, but they was high.
No,
There's that
maybe
little-
they were. I don't
There's
know.
a love story to it as well,
There
so that's
is,
probably
yeah.
why.
Yeah, the cinematography was really good.
That was perfect,
and
yeah.
the screenplay was fantastic.
Soundtrack was amazing.
100%. The score really is what
It actually-
what did it. It's what took
Randy
it over
Newman.
with Randy.
I will.
You
Look
got
at
your
Randy.
friend. Different movie, I get it. But go ahead, Sterling. You're the fans. What do the fans think of that? What do the fans think? What do the people?
80.
What about the people?
80%.
80, okay.
I'll go 90.
I'll go 82.
82 wins it. 84 is correct.
Oh,
yes.
it's gonna go 84.
Nice.
83 and 84. Very
I'll take
close
the
to
point.
the fans and the
Sterling got that
the
first one.
critics.
I have 0. I don't like points. Points are bad as golf.
That last one?
Who got the first point there with Dylan? Okay, Dylan got the first point for the
Yes,
critics.
That's right, because he did 80. It was
There we
83.
go. So I've got 2, Mick has 2, and Dylan has 1.
Okay.
Because Mick got 2, so that's why we have 5.
You get 2
Sterling.
and 1. One fell swoop.
Yep. All right. I was trying to think of a theme of what's going on now, and also some connections locally with. And my second one will be a connection locally, but first one tomorrow is May. So After Chris Nielsen, Robin Williams dies in a car accident. He's guided through the afterlife by a spirit guide, Albert, Cuba Gooding Jr. His new world is beautiful and can be whatever Chris imagines. Even his children are there. But when his wife, Annie, Annabelle Scarona, commits suicide and is sent to hell, Chris ignores Albert's warnings and journeys there to save her. Upon arrival, Chris finds that rescuing Annie will be more difficult than he'd imagined. What dreams may come with Robin Williams in 1998.
Never saw that. Never heard of that.
You're going to have to guess then.
Cuba Gooding Jr. and Robin Williams. And
Yep,
okay,
that's exactly right. Yep.
Never heard of this.
Me neither.
Yeah, so we'll see if you think it's a good one or not. What do the critics think about what dreams may come?
77%.
I'll go 85. Seems like a good
I'll go
story.
75.
What'd you do?
77.
And you went 75? And you went higher?
Yeah.
It's 52. Damn. So Mick got the point. 52% of critics
like you didn't have to
liked that
look
one.
through that.
The fans over, by the way, there were 69 reviews for the critics on that one.
Nice.
100,000 plus ratings on the viewers. So the popcorn. What do you think, Dylan? We start with you, the fans.
I'll go 80.
What'd you say for what was the critics?
Critics were 52%.
I'll go, fans were 48.
I think it's a cult classic, apparently. 82.
84%.
Wow,
Sterling
nice.
got the point. 84% for the.
I almost said 85, but I just said
Yep. Well,
can't do
you
it.
didn't though.
Damn it.
That's 3 for Mick, 2 for me, 1 apiece for Sterling and Dylan. We get to Sterling's first movie.
All right. Let's get into Playboy vet Henry sets his heart on romancing Lucy, but she has short-term memory loss. She can't remember anything that happened the day before, so every morning Henry has to woo her again. Her friends and family are very protective, and Henry must convince them that he's in it for love.
50 First Dates?
50 First Dates. Adam Sandler.
Dylan, you've got the critics.
Rob Schneider.
Give me
Sean Astin.
55%.
Drew Barrymore.
I will do 65%.
58.
Dylan, 45%.
Dang it.
Damn, they didn't like that.
45%. But was it a cult classic? Over 250,000 ratings.
Wowzers. Mick, you've got the fans first.
What was the critics? It was
45.
45. Fans are gonna like it more. They're gonna go 62.
I was thinking 71. Dylan?
I'll go 73 then.
Nicholas.
Wow.
65%.
Let's go.
I went 71. What did Mick go?
62.
Dang it.
I feel like this movie was played on TV every single day growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
played a lot on
was
TV.
I liked it every single day.
But I wouldn't realize it because I had
I always
short-term memory
forget.
loss as well. Yeah.
That makes total sense. Dylan's movie number 2. Movie number. By the way, it's 4 for Mick, and then Dylan and I have 2. Sterling sitting with 1. Yep. Dylan, your movie.
This is Spinal Tap.
Oh
Not
my
just
gosh.
Spinal
Great.
Tap. This
One of my
is
favorite movies.
Spinal Tap. I will start here with Mick.
Critics.
On the tomato meter.
77%.
I'm going to go 82 for critics.
Oh, I think it's higher, but I feel like the smart movies just go 84.
Yeah, jerk.
What'd you say?
I
Sorry,
said
Jason.
82.
I said 77.
I said
Sterling
84.
wins. 96%.
No,
Yeah, I was about to say. I was
That's
almost
really
going to say
good.
100.
Yeah.
I was considering saying
Right.
I love this movie.
I get the fans one, right?
You do.
Yes, sir.
95.
97.
93.
Mick just barely beats Jason. It's 92%.
Spinal Tap is one of the greatest movies of all time. As a drummer, I love how the drummer always dies and it's always a new drummer. Spontaneous combusts at one point.
That's right.
Just a real treat of a movie.
Yeah, it is.
Us drummers typically stick together.
All of
with
us drummers,
movies
yeah.
about,
We love
drummers.
Mick is. Mick and
Speaking of-
myself.
Yeah.
We
Speaking
know.
of Lars Ulrich.
Air drum.
All right, so Mick, movie number 2 for you.
Bull Durham. Baseball theme here. Major League and Bull Durham.
Like
So
that
you're going to
one.
do critics, Jason.
Critics, Bull Durham. I'm going to say they were at 78%.
84 has been good to me.
Oh, okay.
I'll go 90%.
97%.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't give my final answer. I just said 84 has been good to me. 97%.
Gotcha. Well, you got 2 then.
Good
Yeah.
for the
Thank
critics. Good for the critics. That's a good job. They
Yes.
got that one right. You go first with the fans voting there, Sterling.
97%.
95.
93.
Yeah, 82.
Yes.
Wow. That was lower than I thought. Critics was higher than I thought on that
I
one.
agree.
82.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
All right, my second movie. I was thinking of themes with the draft picks, so this is the one that popped in my head. Royal Tenenbaum and his wife Ethelyn had 3 children, and then they separated. All 3 children are extraordinary, all geniuses. Virtually all memory of the brilliance of the young Tenenbaums was subsequently erased by 2 decades of betrayal, failure, and disaster. Most of this was generally considered to be their father's fault. The Royal Tenenbaums is a story of the family's sudden, unexpected reunion one recent winter. Royal Tenenbaums, the critics.
He introduces Gwyneth Paltrow as his adopted daughter all the time. This is my adopted daughter.
I have never seen.
A lot of
nor
people
heard
think
of this
General
movie.
Custer died at Little Bighorn. What my
It's
book
Wes Anderson.
presupposes
It's like
is, what if he didn't?
Like Wes Anderson's first big movie, and then they all came
It's
out.
the only
of that.
Wes Anderson I've seen. It's
Yes.
awesome.
I just love that. What my book presupposes is, what if he didn't?
What if he didn't?
Go ahead. Your critics first.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I feel like they like Wes Anderson, right? So I'll go 90%.
90%. Dylan.
I will go 85%.
Mac.
83.
Okay, that's an interesting noise. 81%. So Mick is running away with this one. We start with you, Dylan, with the popcorn meter. The fans, 250,000 plus ratings.
I'll go 70%. I feel like, Wes Anderson is hit or miss.
Yeah, it's a good call. I'll go 68.
I'll go the other side. Sorry, Dylan, 72.
89.
Hey,
Sterling,
we got one.
89% for
Good
the
job,
Royal
fans.
Tenenbaums. And then we wrap things up with Sterling, the final movie, right? Final movie?
This was also one of my favorite as a kid. It was a comedy action adventure western. Bumbling Sean Wang, Jackie Chan, works as an imperial guard in the forbidden city of China. When Princess Pei is taken hostage, Wang pursues her captors to the wild frontierland of Nevada, where he meets good-natured thief and occasional cowboy Roy O'Bannon. That's Owen Wilson. Using Owen Wilson's love of money, Wang convinces him to help recover the princess. Shanghai Noon.
Okay, yeah. There we go.
Shanghai
We got
Noon.
there.
I believe it's pronounced Princess Pepe.
Not PP.
Dylan, you've got the critics first.
You sure?
I sure do. The critics.
It's a great movie.
Well, I'll go 70%.
I'll go 65%.
No, 63.
80.
What?
Oh,
No way.
Yeah, Shanghai Noon.
No way. I was going to go like 40.
Yeah.
Good night.
What do you mean?
That's
This
an
movie
upset.
slaps. What are we talking
I
about?
don't know that it slaps.
It slaps good or it slaps bad? I don't
they
know. I don't
actually,
speak Sterling.
They also had another movie come out, Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Night.
No, did they? It's a different time of day.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Shanghai morning. Will
Yes. I can't wait for it. Yeah, it's like 51
I'm gonna do,
for states.
I'll do
production.
the fans said 70%.
I'll say the fans are at 81%.
What'd you say, Mick?
70.
I'll go 75.
Mick with the win,
What?
65%. Somehow the fans like this movie less than the
That's
critics.
absurd.
I can see how.
No, I can't. at all.
This movie was phenomenal. I don't get it.
Maybe the fans thought it was Princess Pee and they're like, you know what? I just don't like the name. The name's throwing me off
Give my
here.
point. What was the final there?
Mick had 2.
Yeah.
Mick
Plus
had 7.
6.
Dylan had 4. Sterling and I had 3.
Thank you. I don't know if I've ever lost this game, quite honestly. I'm like Sterling, kind of full of myself here.
You're very humble.
Yeah, I know, right?
You're very humble, man. You actually might be more humble than me.
It's crazy. It's
Almost.
wild.
Yeah, I was going
We
to
should
say,
have a
hold on,
humble
Sterling.
contest.
Yeah. You
Can we just
guys
eat pie the whole
the
time?
humblest of it.
That's right, yes.
Go break. All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer. Noah Cameron in action tonight, making his major
St. Joe native.
League's debuts.
What high school did he go to there?
St. Joe Central in the
Let's
house.
go.
St. Joe Central
That'd
in
be
the
the
house.
Blue Jays, correct?
You know, I've been calling it, Mick, from the belt to the bay. He's making his debut tonight in Tampa Bay. That's what I mean.
Belt Road, baby.
I've labeled it. You know, this guy. You know, we talked a little bit about the rough debuts. Jackson Kowar, how uncomfortable that was to watch his debut when he had the wild pitches and the earned runs and didn't make it out of the first inning and couldn't get any saliva.
It's a good thing to put out in the environment.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Michael Asensio's debut.
We talked about that one. We talked about Eduardo Villasís. Villasís was the one in New York that they brought up.
Pitched like Villasís.
Yeah. that's right.
Asensio was 16 straight balls,
16 straight balls, that's right. I don't know how,
Ball 12.
how the guys lay off pitches this close. Tried the outside corner, missed it.
Villasís was in New York, I believe, right? Yeah, that was unfair.
It took us a little bit to
Nobody had
remember
heard
Villasís.
of him.
Yeah, and Mike Sweeney was so pissed. So he brought him up from Double-A. It's the only time he's pitched in Major League Baseball was that.
He never came back?
Nope. It's the only appearance he ever made in Major League Baseball.
Like Villasís.
But that guy will always say, I pitched in Yankee Stadium. You've been to the show. Yeah, I've been to the show, man. I've been to the show. Noah Cameron is in the show. And like I said, when you go up around the belt, you're not going to be intimidated. All right? No, you're going to show up down in Steinbrenner Stadium and show everybody what it's all about.
Well, it's at least like it's a minor league park. It's a spring training park.
No third deck.
No third deck.
Brian McRae always talked about add that third deck and things change for players. Put that third deck on a stadium and things get a little bit more difficult in baseball. And maybe it's between the ears. I don't know if that'll be the case or not, but looking forward to seeing him. I mean, we talked about maybe him making
what
the
round was he drafted in? Do we know?
7th in 2021.
By the
round
Royals?
pick out of Central Arkansas.
I remember the number 5 prospect
the
as
name.
of now.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
And he's coming up from Northwest Arkansas, or is he coming from Omaha?
Okay. But he hasn't pitched. Like I looked at his game log because his numbers are good. He's got a 3.2 ERA, a 1 WHIP, 27 strikeouts in 22 innings. But his last 2 starts have been 4 innings and 2 innings. So it hasn't been like
he got
longer.
chased from that game.
No, the last
they
one was
were
like
just
2
kind of
innings
prepping
and,
for this.
Yeah, I don't know. Last one was like 2 innings, and I didn't even.
Because those are kind of like
probably should have looked at
Reagan's
the date.
last couple starts.
Yeah, probably should have looked at the date on that one. It might have been 2 innings 2 days ago or whatever. But yeah, he is starting tonight. They may push Reagan's back one more to when the road trip is over and they return home against the White Sox.
There's no IL stay there. Maybe just
Quatrero said he doesn't think so.
Yeah, just one start.
Doesn't think it's going to be an IL. They're going to push his start back at least to Baltimore this weekend, maybe return of the home. So we'll get Noah Cameron tonight and maybe this weekend in Baltimore. I wish it was a home game. Like I wish this was, him making his debut here in Kansas City for the entire city driving down
Might be
from
better.
St. Joe to
Might be better that it's
You're not wrong.
right.
Yeah.
It's on the road. And like you said, I think it really matters. It's not in even Tropicana Field, right? It is a spring training environment where he's pitched in, and there's probably going to be, 10,000 Tampa fans there, maybe?
Yeah, I think there was like 10,000 last night.
Yeah.
But it feels different, 10,000 fans there as opposed to the Trop. There was an environment last night with the 10,000 fans. 10,000 at the Trop, you can hear the people having conversations in the fifth row.
Yeah.
You hear them talking about what's going on at work the next day and the TPS reports or whether or not there's a cover letter. And now they're putting cover letters on the TPS reports. And this
it's always. I think it's especially considering he's from the area. Get that first start out of the way on the road. Your family's going to be there. Those you care about, they'll make the flight down there, and then figure it out after that.
And he's not a super young. I mean, he's 25, so that I think helps too. I don't think there's a ton of pressure. Like even with Kowar, there's a lot of pressure, and you're going to help be the new era.
He was the next big
first-round pick. Yeah,
he was the next big thing. He had a .8 ERA and like 50 strikeouts in 30 innings, and it was like Kowar is can't miss. He's a guy that's going to be absolutely brilliant.
I was spelling his name with a backwards K. That's how much.
That's right. I mean, it's like, wow, he's just everybody is striking out swinging.
Noah with a backwards C now. I guess you could.
He could, yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't really make a lot of sense. But
I'm spelling Cameron with a K.
Cameron with a K. That should be Cameron with the K. You're right.
Noah runs from the Rays.
Noah hits tonight is what he'll allow. You know what I mean? And probably have to combine that because he probably won't be able to go 9 innings. But still, before we get out of here, do want to wish a very happy birthday to my daughter. Juliet. Jules, she turned.
She's April.
That one, huh?
She turned 6 years old.
Let's go.
Today.
It's a great month, though, to have a birthday.
Shockingly, he remembers his daughters and not his co-host.
Not
little
his
weird.
sons here.
Is that shocking? Is that surprising? Yes. So April 30th, she turns 6 years old today.
Nice.
And we are like every other parent, like, how is she already 6? How is she already this?
Well, she would have been born in 2019.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Nice math.
Timing,
well done.
I would say, just how days.
Yeah, just days and hours and minutes, they all transpire the same for everybody.
Yeah. How the moon and the earth have some sort of centrifugal force.
You should go on Facebook, though, and say, time, please stop, or something awesome like that.
Another trip around the moon, as we've heard. Anyway, very special happy birthday to my beautiful daughter, Juliet, turning 6 today.
What'd you get her?
Has
she got it yet?
We gave her life.
She got a roof over her head. Absolutely. Got a bedroom.
I pay for her phone bill and her car insurance.
A phone and a
her
phone
car.
number.
Yes.
Call it.
That's right.
Her scholarship to Barry College.
100%.
Where she's
I gave her
Shador Sanders' number.
Yeah, I gave her athletic ability to get a college scholarship.
Yes, to D3.
Or her mom did. I don't know.
Get her Jax Albright's number, and then she prank
him.
Jax.
Yeah. Hey, we want to bring you up to D2.